Well. Welcome, everybody. Man, whenever I do these live streams, it's always so much fun at the end. And I'm like, wow, I want to do it again. And then I schedule the next live stream and I'm dying out of anxiety. It's like, I'm literally so stressed that I can feel my heart beating. Anyway, hello everybody. Hi. Hello. It has started, yes. So we have a few issues, right? Which is the fact that I wanna watch some of my older devlogs here on live stream, but I'm not sure if YouTube's content ID is gonna kick in and take down the live stream, because the problem is that I don't know if it's smart enough to recognize that I'm the owner of both of the accounts, right? You know what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to say, hello everybody. What I'm trying to say is that in case this live stream goes down for one reason or another, I'm gonna try to resume it on my main channel. So you can just go there if something like that happens. That would be so funny. Yeah, it would be. What time is it, by the way? It's almost the time. Hello, everybody who's new. How are you so good at pixel art? I don't think I am, to be honest. Like the thing, I'm kind of cheating, right? Because my pixel art is really small. So if you think about this, there's only so many ways in which you can rearrange a certain amount of pixels. So you can just try again and again and again until it looks good. And this is essentially what I'm doing. So I wouldn't call myself, I'm nowhere near being good at pixel art, in my opinion. Well, it is pixel art. Yeah, but it's it's not, people do crazy stuff, right? Because there's this, I feel like more traditional genre, right, of pixel art where you try to use as few pixels as possible, but you make it look like it's actually HD. If you look at it from a distance, right, it looks like something that would be there in actual 3D. So this is, for instance, definitely more challenging than whatever it is that I'm doing. If the second account is a sub-account of the main account, it should probably protect you. I sure hope so. Art is art, man. If it's pretty, I say you're a pretty good artist. I mean, thanks. Are you considering releasing some kind of gameplay demo before the full game? Yeah, definitely. There's gonna be gameplay demo. Before that, there's gonna be, how do you say that? Playtesting that we're gonna do, probably with patrons at first. So yeah, you'll get to see an actual full, slice of the game before buying, if that's what you're asking about. Hello, hi. All right, so I was thinking initially about watching every single one of my devlogs, because, well, to be honest, there's not as many of them as you'd think, right? And they're usually 3 minutes long. But I calculated it, and we would probably spend 3 hours just trying to watch them all. So I don't know if that's a good idea. But there's definitely a few that I want to watch that I think that are important and that I have something new to say about them. 3-hour live stream, let's go. Yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty sure that my throat would not survive that. Okay, anyway, you need to...
So here's that.
You need to... Shut up. You need to tell me if the volume is okay. If you can hear, I'm gonna...
Deal. I've never finished making an actual game. And I've worked on many different games when I was younger.
So this is me from the past, and this is me from the future. Good volume. Okay. So, yeah, okay. if I made fan art, how do I show you? You can add me on Twitter and I'm gonna see it once I log in on Twitter, which is something that I try to avoid. But yeah, Twitter is the best place. Volume is good, volume is good. Okay. Hey, Artificial, I was wondering whether you saw my email about the signed distance field shadows. No, I have not. And to be honest, I'm really behind when it comes to my email. But yeah, I need to check it. I'll see. I'll check. I'll take a look, but I haven't seen it. Not way louder, but a bit louder. Well, wait, hold on. What are you talking about, Mizu? The volume is way louder than you. Oh, okay. I can't really increase my own volume because I don't know how, but I can lower this one. I'm just a lazy piece of garbage that never finishes anything it starts. So now, during this wonderful time of quarantine, yeah, so I hope this is okay. Twitter is the website on the internet, the most website of websites, definitely. It's fine, don't worry. Okay, all right. I've never done something like this, reacting to stuff, so bear with me. I feel obligated to get myself together and make an actual game. And I'm gonna document the entire process here on YouTube, because I hate myself, and just making the game wouldn't be enough work for me. This is funny. I think it's funny, because I said this wouldn't be enough work from me. What I'm trying to say is for, but for some reason, because this is an interesting piece of trivia. This video is my first ever video in English, and as such, it was actually the first time I got to speak English outside of a classroom. Before that, you know, I had literally no experience with that. And for some reason, it was a thing with me where like I couldn't say for, I would say from. I don't know how it used to work, but yeah, I just think it's interesting. Let's just alternate title: Jacob reacts to himself and cringes at his past mistakes. Some records straight. Oh, my first game is gonna be. It's like second-hand embarrassment, but it's me from the past, so this is actually first-hand embarrassment. But the third. Anyway. Terrible. There's no way someone without the proper experience could make a decent game, and it's okay. We learn by making... Oh yeah, this is a very important part. Hold on a second. Experience could not be terrible. Let's set some records straight. My first game is gonna be terrible. This still stands. I need you all to know that I have this on record. You have no right to criticize Astortion when it comes out, because I said that it's gonna be bad. No, but I'm kidding, of course. But I feel like some people have really high expectations when it comes to Astortion, and it's important to remember that it is still my very first game, so it may be, you know, not perfect. What other languages do you speak? Polish, because this is my native language, unfortunately. It looks better than so many games I've played already, though. I mean, does it though? Does it? I wouldn't say so. I have few videos, right, where I showcase how I want the game to look like. But these are just snippets, right? You're yet to see like an actual slice of the game with gameplay and with the cute visuals. Well, we'll see. Anyway, I was watching a previous VOD and heard that you were Polish. I haven't seen that many solo devs in here, so I was a bit surprised you were from my country. Also, your accent is amazing for a Pole. Thank you. I need to learn to embrace it. My friend is really happy with his accent, for instance. He's like, yeah, I have a Polish accent. He's like very proud of it. I'm more of a like a, you know, I prefer to have a native English accent, but unfortunately there's nothing I can do about that. How did you become so smart and wise? I didn't. There's no way someone without the proper experience could make a decent game, and it's okay.
We learn by making mistakes. And if we are too afraid to make them, we will either never start the project at all, or we'll find ourselves working on the same project for years, overthinking every single detail to make it perfect, just to realize at the end that what we've made is not really that impressive and all we've gained is disappointment.
So this is kind of funny, right? So, considering that it was meant to be a very small game, and it ended up what it is right now. Interestingly enough, the scope hasn't really changed that much when it comes to the game. It changed as opposed to what I'm talking about here, because I don't remember when I changed my idea for Astortion, but at first it was meant to be like a really simple puzzle platformer with just a few linear levels. You just, you hit start, you go through them, the game finishes. There's no advanced, dialogue, no sense of story, nothing like that. But then I decided to increase this a bit and add like a more of an open world and some dialogue. And this is where we are right now. But yeah, that's definitely not a few months. So there's that. Oh no, I didn't know you stream at 3 a.m. Hope there'll be a VOD later. There's always a VOD later. Unfortunately, that's the problem with time zones, right? It's 10 p.m. on my side. It's probably like 4 p.m. In America. I'm assuming you're probably from like Australia or something like that, right? If this is so early or so late, depending on how you look at it. Are you following other devlogs, for example, GMTK's? Yes, I've been watching his journey with game development. It's really interesting. Kind of similar to mine. I'm gonna, point it out, but no, but I really like it. It's the game's looking amazing, and it's definitely something that I'd like to play. But I also, when it comes to other devloggers, BW Dev is one of them, right? devlog. There's quite a few, like the popular devloggers that I watch. Can confirm it is 4 p.m. for me. Yeah, exactly. 2 p.m. in BC, Canada. Thin Matrix. This does ring a bell, but I'm not sure. I'd have to check this out. Everybody is sharing their time. Time zones are a cloud with a silver lining. I can really watch American streams, but I'm usually awake for European streams. This is not a European stream, I'd say, right? Because in Europe it's like 10 p.m. So I mean, if watching a game dev live stream at Saturday evening is your kind of live stream, then maybe it is proper for European people. You should make a Discord server. There is a Discord server, but only for patrons as of right now. This may change in the future, probably with the release of Motion Canvas, because, well, there will have to be a server for Motion Canvas, right? So this may change in the future, but it's also, it's really difficult to do something like that, right? Create a server, because there's a lot of things to worry. And at least in my opinion, you need to like manage it. You need to find admins and whatever. And then you have a lot of people who can interact with you whenever they want. It's kind of scary. Is there a way to talk to you personally outside of the Patreon Discord server? I'm a very no. The answer is no, and the reason is because I'm a really antisocial person, if that makes sense. Is that how you say that? Asocial? Antisocial? I know I'm really talking with people is really tiring to me, if that makes sense. So I like to avoid that, unfortunately. No, I'm late. We've watched like a minute. you haven't missed anything. Shy. I'm not shy. Maybe I am. Whatever. Let's watch. No, with that being said, I want my first game to be simple, so it won't take too long to make. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I don't want to, for example, make a walking simulator,
or a simple platformer where you just collect stuff and kill enemies. I want some sort of interesting gameplay mechanic on top of which I'm gonna build the rest of the game. You know Portal, right? So a long time ago, I've played this game called Mario Portal, which combined the Portal mechanics with This is actually called Mary Zero, and I actually even I've played this game called Mario Portal. I added this text here, and then I realized that it's not really, it doesn't really stand out. I got corrected by quite a few people that this is not the name of the game. Which combined the Portal mechanics with Mario levels. And it was such a great game. Surprisingly, Portals work extremely well in 2D. So maybe I could, analogically, rip off mechanics of Gravity Gun from Half-Life and make a 2D game out of that. As the player, you will have a... Yeah, but this is really... I mean, how do you even pronounce Mario... Exactly, how do you pronounce that? Mary Zero. But this is... I'm talking about the thing that I said a second ago, right? Which is the fact that I never wanted to make a game that's too simple to make. Because I feel like... And it's either gonna be weird or extremely relatable, but if you know how to make something, it's not really that... entertaining to do so, you know, that there has to be something a problem that you think about and you're like, man, I don't know how to solve it. I need to like experiment, discover, learn how to do something. And that was my main problem with the initial idea, because after this devlog, right, I created the whole prototype of the device and anchors, and I was like, okay, and that's it. There's really nothing interesting to do with the game because the main mechanic is ready. And it's really just, you know, making levels and putting it in a nice package with a menu and whatever, and the game is finished. And this is somewhere, this was the time where I decided to increase the scope, being like, hey, I want to add some dialogue. The dialogue was actually inspired by Oxenfree, because in Oxenfree, if you've played the game with subtitles enabled, it displays these little speech bubbles above their head with like a text, and I was like, man, I want to do something similar like this. And this is where this whole idea of like, oh, having a dialogue in the game would be nice came to be. Yeah, or else you don't learn anything. Exactly. Waiting for the second Oxenfree. Exactly. I cannot wait. Also, the developers made like another game, right? In a similar style. I think it was like about hell or something. Dialogue tells a story, so that's why it's so important. Exactly. But like as I said initially, I didn't even consider having a story in the game. That's how simple it was meant to be. Just wanted to hop by and tell you that I love your work and I wish you luck on your dev journey. Thank you for every video you put up. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to hear that. Anyway, Vice, which can attract objects around you, and you will have to use it to unlock your way forward. Also, I just remember this video where Half-Life developers react to a speedrun of their game. This is such a great video, by the way. This one, Half-Life 2 developers react to 50-minute speedrun. I love it so much. There's so many, it's just so entertaining. Specifically this part.
Remember when we tried making the player movement fully simulated by physics, and the first thing players could do was, if you pressed the forward key, you immediately, and walked into a wall, you just died on impact, because the amount of acceleration you actually needed to move at the speed you do in the game, you know, is such that the impact of just walking into a wall kills you. Yeah.
I think we could make the player in
YouTube video and a YouTube video and a YouTube video. Exactly. Do you have a story in mind for Astortion? Yes, I do, actually, because Astortion is happening in my head canon that existed way before the idea for the game itself. So I have a lot of stuff figured out when it comes to the lore and when it comes to the game and the story and the characters that you're gonna meet along the way.
Game simulated by physics.
But going quickly back to the devs reacting to live streams, all of these videos are amazing. There was one where they, I mean, not the same people, but people from Portal 2, I believe, reacted to a speedrun. And then there was a video where they talked to the actual speedrunner. And it was so interesting to just see that happen after like 10 years or so. Every story's canon was once someone's head canon. This is difficult to pronounce.
So that yeah, they could not only attract other objects towards them, but they would also be attracted back. Just like Newton intended. Here's how I imagine that. You have the
I really like this thing that I did here. I was really proud of it.
The player and the object. When the player...
It's like the inception of me using any sort of visual tools.
Player starts pulling and the object is dynamic, that is, it can be moved, they will both start moving towards each other. However, if the object...
Here's a thing about this. I am not so sure...
They will both...
I am not so sure about this part. I like the part that you can either pull something towards you or you can be pulled towards something. But this specific case where like both you and the object are being pulled towards the center is kind of like useless, if that makes sense. At least I was designing some puzzles, and with the mechanic, it doesn't seem like there's much you can do with that. That's why I'm thinking about just removing it and having, either you are pulling something or you are being pulled, and none of this stuff. Especially since you can do this funny thing where you just start orbiting around the box in like midair. It's like, what are you supposed... You cannot move this way, fortunately, so you can't use this to like fly somewhere, but you're just stuck in this perpetual loop. I don't know. Speed should depend on the relative masses. It does. It doesn't seem very possible, but it's fun. I mean, I just joined. Hi, hello. Speedrunning mechanics. That could help with getting down a pit with the box coming with you too. But you cannot pass, you cannot, a box cannot travel to a different room. It's impossible. This is like, what's the name of it? This integration grid in Portal. You cannot move a box to another level, unfortunately, because that would mess up with the puzzle design. Because you could just use a box from the previous room in the next one, instead of acquiring something that you're supposed to acquire in the next room. Why not? I'm explaining this. Like I feel like that's a reasonable thing in puzzle games. You can just take puzzle pieces from one room and take them to another, Emancipation grill. Emancipation. That's a word, surely. You technically can, but speedrunners don't follow rules. I mean, the concept you brought up in one of the next few devlogs, using a dynamic anchor as a static one, would need both box and player to be attracted to each other. Using a dynamic anchor as a static one. But let's talk about this once we get there, okay? Because I don't remember what you're talking about. That's the thing, like, I don't remember most of the stuff that I talked about in these videos. What if you could use it to jump onto something while pulling it towards you? Jump onto something while pulling it towards you. It's difficult to imagine what you meant by that. You'll explain it to yourself when we get there. Okay. Do you do scripts for all your main channel videos? Oh yeah, absolutely. I cannot like listen to me right now. Do you think I can just like sit down and articulate my thoughts? No, I think in this specific video, the first 5 minutes are scripted and the next 5 are not, and you can probably tell the difference. After that, every single one of my video is scripted. I did some experimenting because that's the thing, right? You watch other devloggers and they seem to like devlog does this, for instance, where it seems like he's just sitting down in front of his computer and just, you know, talking. I'm like, why other people can do that and I cannot? But I'm pretty sure that most people use some sort of a script or another. It just comes down to, you know, saying it in a casual way. While in the air, you pull it toward you and you already have the motion to jump onto it. Getting more height. Sorry if this still doesn't make too much sense. Yeah, I have trouble imagining it. So like, because I don't know. Anyway, let's continue.
Start moving towards each other. However, if the object is static, because it's mounted to the ceiling, for example, only the player will start moving. And this will allow them to move around the level, reach higher elevations and stuff. We can also give...
This is cool. Also, something that I didn't realize back then is that this is essentially a grappling hook mechanic. Like, even if you think about this in terms of classical physics, it's exactly the same thing. It's just a force that's pulling you towards some distant point. And this is I get a lot of comments like that from people who are new to the channel that are like, wow, this is a cool grappling hook mechanic. Maybe you should draw a line between the player and the thing. I'm like, no, that's not how it's supposed to work. Anyway,
the player an ability to crouch, which will make them static, so they won't move when they are pulling other objects. I feel like this is a pretty good set of mechanics. Not too complicated, but also can be easily expanded upon. We can, for example, have objects that act like static, but when you pull them while crouching, they will fall off and become movable.
Is this what you're talking about? Tomatek. Is that it? Or hold on, because I don't remember if you said that it's gonna be next video or this video. No, you said that I brought it up in one of the next few devlogs. Okay, so that's not it.
Become
dynamic.
Or we can add a different mode.
Kinda, I'm pretty sure it's next. Because you're talking about a socket, which is the thing where you can put a dynamic anchor inside of a socket and it's gonna get stuck there and it's gonna act as a static one. Grappling hook don't exactly pull people towards their anchor though, do they? They just act as a portable swinging rope. It depends on the game, right? If we're talking, I don't know, worms, then definitely grappling hook was like more of a, you're at the certain distance from the point, right? And you're just using it to go left, right? But I've seen games where grappling hook would just like swing you towards a certain point.
For the device that will repel objects instead of attracting them. Okay, but for now, let's keep things simple. We've got the idea, now we just need to choose the engine. I considered Godot, Unity, and Unreal. Unfortunately, I've never used Godot, and I don't really know Python, so I think I'm gonna skip.
This is funny thing. I used to think that GDScript is actually Python, like an extension to Python. Turns out that they wrote an entire new language for the game engine, which is crazy, for lack of a better term.
Keep on that one. I've heard many good opinions about Godot.
Hold on a second. What are you talking about? I think that would cause the player to be pulled downwards, which would cancel it out. No, because you would be pulled towards an object, then it would be pulled towards you, then you jump off of it to get extra height. See, here's your problem. You want to jump off of this box. And it's a very difficult subject. It's similar to Python. That's where the confusion probably came from. Yeah, I probably just like looked at it, right, and thought like, oh no, there's no curly brackets.
I'm definitely gonna
So
try
it's
it
Python.
at some point, just not with this project. So this leaves us with Unity and Unreal.
I still want to try Godot, by the way. This hasn't changed. I'd like to spend like an hour a day for a month just working on a simple game. But currently I'm waiting for Godot 4 to be released, like officially. I'm kind of sad. Unity is the only engine whose workflow I've actually enjoyed, but Unity as a company is making some questionable decisions, and it makes me not want to use it. That's totally understandable. I feel the same way. It's just like you look at what's happening, it's demotivating, you know? Hopefully Godot 4 has a better C# workflow. Maybe, but I'm willing to try GDScript, see it for what it is. Especially since, you know, they're making some huge statements about it, right? Recently, when they announced that they're removing visual scripting, the creator of Godot was like, yeah, that's GDScript is actually better than blueprints in Unreal, right? I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I'm not saying that it isn't, right? A lot of people are talking a lot of good things about it, so I feel like it's only reasonable to try it out. Can you easily port Astortion to a different engine? This would be such a meme though, wouldn't it? Imagine me being like, hey, making a video being like, hey guys, here's the thing, I'm switching engines. But also what engine I'd switch it, I would switch it to. Right, Unity is like cool engine, you know. I still like using it. It's not like what company is doing doesn't really change the fact that the engine is decent, and I mean it could be better. It's only getting worse with every new version, that's true. But the current set of features that I have in it is enough for me to finish the game and not really you know, have any trouble with it. So I'm willing to just, you know, go through it, finish the game, and then maybe think about switching the engine. I really love Unreal Engine's 5 new tech, but I hate with every fiber of my being C++ and Blueprint. C++ is so good. I love it. Like, low-level programming languages will always have a special place in my heart. And just, if I could just like start writing a game in C++ or Rust, I would just do it. But the problem with Unreal Engine, my problem with Unreal Engine is that their tools for 2D are really lackluster. Maybe something has changed ever since I checked, but yeah, that's the main reason I picked Unity, right?
I tried both of those engines. Personally, I feel some sort of preference towards Unreal. I really don't know why. I can't quite put my finger on it. I just like it. But I need to remember that the game is gonna be made in 2D, and when it comes to 2D, like, the choice is simple. We're gonna go with Unity.
Have you checked out the Bevy game engine? Yes. I mean, no. I mean, I've seen it and I want to try it. I haven't tried it yet, but I love it just by reading about it. But the problem with it is that it's still extremely early, right, in development. I don't think I should, you know, even think about making a how to say that, a real project with it. You know what I'm saying? I like thinking low level and even hardware level, but I can't stand coding in C++. You know, you can just code in C, but save the file as C++. It's gonna be the same thing. Bevy is definitely not production ready. Exactly, but I love the concept of it. Anything open source is going to be very good eventually, like Blender. Yeah, that's the main problem with open source, right? Turns out you can't really put any sort of deadlines on people who are working for free. So usually open source projects are developed extremely, extremely slow, but they're worth it, right? If Blender could do it, then definitely others can too. What are your thoughts on data-oriented design? I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I've never looked into it fully. Is it worth it? I cannot answer this question. I don't have the knowledge necessary to answer it. I like the idea of it, but then again, I'm not the one to talk about this. If you love the concept of ECS, you can try Unity Dots. Yeah, this Unity Dots is also a fascinating thing, and I'm pretty sure they are planning to be production ready next year, right? So that's also something. But also, at the same time, it feels like, you know, how do you say that? Using a cannon to shot a fly? I don't know. I don't know what's the idiom, but you know what I'm saying. It's with Astortion being so simple as it is, you know, something so performance oriented, I don't think it's necessary. C++ is strange for many programmers because it's between C and C# and it's got many quirks, but it's great because it enables both low and high level programming. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why C++ is, you know, extremely popular, especially when it comes to video games, right? I don't think there's any like high production value engine that's not written in C++. Hello, hi. So this is the part where this is not scripted, and I just started recording, and I tried to record this like 3 times, by the way. Is learning Rust before C++ stupid because I'm trying that? I don't think so. I don't really have experience to answer that, but I've heard a lot of people saying that Rust, even though they don't code in Rust for a living, they're like C++ programmers, but learning Rust has made them better. I've seen sentiments like this. The Unity assets store prototype assets, of course. Rust is easier and memory safe, and people love it more than CPP. Well, I wouldn't say so. I feel like opinions are divided on that front. I started in JavaScript though, went to Java, into CPP, then C#. It's an interesting arc. To kill a fly with a sledgehammer. Okay. Started in Java. I mean, I started with Autodesk Mail and later JavaScript, I think. So, you know, everybody started somewhere. Few days have passed since I recorded this intro. Also, shout out to the light mode in Unity. Action. And now I actually have a working prototype to show you. I watched a tutorial on YouTube by Unity on how to make your own 2D character controller. Link is in the description. I went through it just to remind myself on how Unity works in general. And as you can see, I'm using the assets that were provided with this tutorial, so like this isn't my level. And now let's take a look at this. It's nice that I clarified that. As you can see, we have this rigid body set to dynamic because in the tutorial they've used kinematic and they simulated the physics using their own script. This is not the case here. I'm using dynamic and I set the gravity to 3 just to make it a little bit quicker. I've also have this capsule collider and my own player controller. First of all, I've added the most basic movements, so as you can see I can go to the right, I can go to the left, and the change in velocity is instantaneous, so basically as soon as I start pressing the D key, for example, my character is gonna go to the right with the maximum velocity instead of slowly speeding up. I've also added support for slopes, so as you can see slopes are a nightmare, by the way, still are, especially when you consider the fact that in Astortion I'm not really going for a tile map thing. I'm using a lot of terrain that's, you know, skewed and tilted with different angles. So more often than not, the player will, for instance, go on something that's more like a circle, and it's also a nightmare because, you know, technically the velocity is to the right, but you need to account for the fact that the ground is kinda going downwards as well. Otherwise, you just start jumping. I should make a video about that because it's an interesting topic. Slopes are a nightmare, exactly. I can go there, I can go up, I can go down.
and my character is sticking to the ground. Because if you didn't know, in 2D and 3D also, there's this problem that if you just apply the velocity, for example here to the right, the gravity may not necessarily have the time to counteract this, to pull you back to the ground. So we're gonna do those silly little jumps. But it's not the case here. Okay, but what interests us the most is this little fellow right here. So if you remember, we talked about different kind of objects that we can interact with, static and dynamic. From now on, I'm gonna call them anchor. Not to mention trying to get the lower center of a player aligned with the sloped surface rather than the corner. I'm using a circle collider. That's how I solved that. So this is a because you're probably thinking about a rectangle, right? And what's gonna happen when I start interacting with it by pressing the spacebar? I'm gonna get attracted to it. And it may look a little bit silly at first because the character is just moving in the straight line to this point. But this is because the global gravity that's pulling us down gets disabled as soon as I press the spacebar. And this anchor becomes our only point of attraction. So it's kind of like the center of gravity is in this point right now. That's why we're just basically falling towards it immediately. And of course, in the final game, the anchors are gonna be placed in the level by me, right? You won't be, as the player, you won't be able to place them wherever you want, as I can right now. This is just for debugging.
Though that would be a cool game.
The most interesting things happen when I have some velocity when I start attracting myself towards this point. Since this is...
Listen, I'm getting bored listening to myself. I'm gonna make the speed a bit faster, okay? Excuse me for that. So I wanna get through this first video. You can clearly tell that my approach to devlogs were extremely different back then, right? It was more like, oh hey, what's up guys? This is me, your boy Jacob. This is what I did today. Here I clicked this and I dragged this here, right? This was kind of like... I don't know, boring in a sense, in my opinion. But this is, I'm gonna talk about this after. I can actually talk about that right now. I was really unhappy with this devlog when I finished it. I like the pace of current devlogs, by the way. I also like them. I like when something is like, you know, fast and to the point. And this is the interesting aspect of it, because this was my very first devlog, and after finishing it, I hated it. And I was like, okay, how to make it better? And I created 3 rules for my devlogs, which is like, it's a real thing. I'm not making this up. I believe I have them saved somewhere on my Google Keep notes or something like that. Because I looked at my devlog, I looked at other people's devlog, and currently all of my devlogs follow the 3 rules, which are, first of all, be concise, which is really, it's funny how concise it is. Second is, don't bore people with personal stuff, because that's something that I see a lot of devloggers doing, where they really embrace the vlog part of a devlog, where they're like, hey, this is my personal life, here are some updates. I'm not saying this is wrong, right? It's just not something that I'm interested in, mostly because my life is boring. There's nothing to talk about. But yeah, that's a rule, and I'm trying to, whenever there's something that I need to inform you about in my personal space, then I'm making a channel update, and it's not a devlog. And the third rule is talk about what you did, not what you want to do, because that's also something that I felt compelled to do, and I've seen a lot of people doing it, where you know you just get excited about the future and like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is gonna work this way and this that way and whatever. So nowadays I'm like, no, if I haven't done something, if it doesn't work, then I'm not talking about it. Good rules, to be honest. Thanks. I mean, apparently they work. Some people really like watching the devlogs, so that's amazing. Thanks for sharing the rules and encourages me to make my own devlogs. Go for it, man. Do you have some sort of editor for placing objects tiles? What I mean is, do you have a tile system for adding art walls to a screen? Or do you just use Unity to normally put objects in? I just use Unity. Especially since, as I said, I'm not really using tile maps anymore. I'm using more of, what's the name of that? 2D sprite shape? Yes, that's it. Sprite shapes in Unity, because they allow me to do like bend surfaces. And I feel like this sprite shapes, exactly. This embraces like the essence of Astortion, which is like, hey, the gravity changes all the time in different directions. If you talk about future plans, we won't be surprised when you finish each part. Exactly, I'm spoiling stuff. It's the new center of gravity. Just a little bit of tangential velocity will make me enter an orbit around this point. And that's exactly what's happening. Of course, I'm getting closer and closer to the center as the time goes by. But this is because of the drag that I've implemented, so that you cannot spend too much time in the air. Still, this enables us to make some very satisfying maneuvers. The drag is like #1 enemy, or it's gonna be the #1 enemy of any speedrunner, because it's impossible to cross a certain velocity threshold in Astortion. You're just not gonna accelerate further. Though I'm not gonna be surprised if people find a way to break that. I'd say. For example, my favorite thing to do is, let me demonstrate this to you. So if I'm standing right there, right, and imagine that the anchor is placed here, I can do something like this. And it's just so fun. You have no idea how much time I've spent just playing around with this. This is like a typical grappling hook situation, right? Where you have this edge and you just do a whoop from the side. It's so, I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but it's just so fun to play around. Also, because I'm using the rigid body simulation, I can interact with other rigid bodies. So as you can see, I just hit this wall very hard, and those blocks have the mass of 3, so they're 3 times more massive than I am. That's why it's so hard for me to get through them. And this is mostly why I didn't want to write my own gravity and stuff like that, as people tend to do with other platformers, because I would have to write all of this by my own, right? Whereas here I have this out of the box. Out of the box.
Okay, so you can probably tell that I'm having a lot of fun with this. I really like this idea, and I'm definitely gonna go with it. The next thing that I want to do is some sort of a playground, a level where I can experiment with different settings for this player controller. And I want to make it using my own assets. Firstly, because I want to create my own assets. It seems like an interesting...
I did not, though. Can we talk about that? I'm lying right here. I did not create my own assets. I mean, I created like one tile, I think, and that was it. And I used this tile to create this whole new testing level
thing to do. And I also want to make it look similar to what the final product is going to look like, because those are...
That also didn't happen. Man, I'm such a...
Assets right here are way too colorful. And once this playground is ready, I'm gonna rewrite this controller because it's an awful mess and I hate it. So we're gonna write this from the scratch and implement some more things. For example, what I really want to do as well, let me quickly illustrate you, but I cannot do that right here. So I can do...
Procedural assets are a better approach. Yeah, exactly. I also think this, I also think that, especially with my pixel renderer, which makes it really easy to do, random stuff that automatically becomes pixel art. So I'm definitely gonna experiment a lot with this. Would be fun to have a button that unlocks the velocity to just start zooming around the levels. I mean, maybe something new level plus, no, new game plus kind of thing. Sped up voice sounds so funny. It does.
Something like that. And now I'm stuck in
here. This is such a major moment in Astortion's development when I realized that I can make it so that you're gonna walk on walls, which apparently was not something I was considering back then. As such an important aspect of puzzles in Astortion.
Here, because I'm colliding with this wall, but we could rotate our character towards this point and allow him to walk around this surface. And we could even make this an ability that you'll gain somewhere in the middle of the game, so it's not by default. Anyway, I think that's all for now. I hope no one is watching this.
See, back then I already knew that I want abilities in the game. I'm gonna slow this down.
And I'm gonna see you in the next episode. So take care and bye-bye.
Oh, I missed the... Hold on.
Episode. And I'm gonna see you. Ability that you'll gain somewhere in the middle of the game, so it's not by default.
And haven't I said something stupid, like, I hope nobody's watching that? Or something like this? I don't know. Never mind. Okay, going on to the next video, which I'm not sure. Yeah, you did. It's right after. I heard it. Yeah, you don't have the proof that this happened though. Hi, hello. So, do we want to watch pretending to be a concept artist? Is there anything interesting in this? Can I make a vote? That would be funny. How many of you are there? 64 people. They're all interesting. Maybe. I mean, there's something interesting about this devlog. We may not watch it in its entirety, but first of all, notice how it starts with what is art. I initially wanted to start every single one of my devlogs with something like that, because this is exactly how the first devlog started, right? With like 3 words at the beginning appearing like this. I got bored of this really quick. Wait, what are you talking about? YouTube isn't that advanced yet. YouTube cannot make polls? Of course it can. What are you talking about? Hold on, I'm checking this. What? I did something, okay? I don't know if it did something. YouTube can't make polls anymore. What have I done? Yeah, I stand corrected. See, why are you hating on YouTube? I mean, there's plenty of reasons to hate on YouTube, okay? But not having polls is not one of them. What is the question? I just try to. I love how everybody answered yes. The question is, does YouTube allow me to make a poll? That's the question. This is amazing. This is something. This is so funny. Crazy to think you thought about. Crazy to think you thought about that amazing pixel art as a placeholder. I did not remember that. And I actually said that in the video. I'm like, hey, pixel art is just a temporary art style, we're gonna change it. We are not, unfortunately. Hey, look, I'm streaming. Well, what you're about to see most certainly isn't. I am making my own game. Lately I was thinking about what the main character is gonna look like. Since I cannot afford a real concept artist, I decided to become. You can't make polls in video. They super it while ago. Yeah, it used to be a thing, right? I remember that. Here in the card, you could make like a thingy. One myself. I drew this rough concept of what I imagined. Hold on a second. What is art? Well, what you're about to see most certainly isn't. I am making my own game. Lately I was thinking about what the main character is gonna look like. Since I cannot afford a real concept artist, I decided to become one myself. It's a very interesting intro, I like it. I don't even have the iCard anymore. I think it has to appear for the first time when there's something new, right? Or maybe not. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I drew this rough concept of what I imagined her to look like. This is a really rough concept. No, I'm not a great artist. And I'm not saying that to be like, boo-hoo, my art is so bad, please compliment me. No, actually, I like the way this sketch has turned out. But it doesn't matter. My problem is that I know how much better I could have been if only I had the discipline to practice. Currently, I find it extremely difficult to just sit down daily and do some drawing, even though I love to draw. I guess that's what an art block feels like. But I digress. This is Alice. She's gonna be the main character in our game. Let me walk you through the process of designing her. This is my initial sketch. It's extremely rough, her head is ridiculously big, but the general idea is here. I used this sketch as a base and drew a more detailed version on top of that. This time I made her head smaller. The outfit was inspired by one of my weird Pinterest boards, mainly by this photo. I cannot credit the artist.
Shut up.
I didn't actually record the time lapse of it. I just had layers in Krita or whatever saved because I was so afraid of messing it up.
Could find is this post on Instagram by
Alice was made with a name generator. Yes, but it was one of 10 names that I picked from. But that's true. I inputted what I want, which was, I believe it was something like a Shakespearean name, and it generated 10 different names. And this is what I picked. And of course they didn't credit anyone here, because why would they? Anyway, I struggled with my character's face a lot. So I decided to look for some inspiration. Magdalena Dajanova. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly.
She's an amazing artist.
I'm pretty sure I don't.
Absolutely love her style. And so I decided to shamelessly steal her eyes. And this...
What were the other names? I don't remember. I have no idea. Also this face.
Point I was really happy with my character's face. I just gave her more intriguing expression and something to look at. Meanwhile, I realized how weird her legs are. If you imagine her bone structure, her pelvis is pointing this way, while her knee is bending inwards, almost parallel to the pelvis.
Some extreme advanced anatomy right here.
Which must be an extremely uncomfortable position, I imagine. So I tried to fix that a little bit. Also at this stage, I added some more detail to the device she'll be using. If you didn't know, this device is influenced by Half-Life's gravity gun. I really didn't want to make it an actual gun, because in my opinion, that...
Can we... Alice's blood type is mood. What? I don't understand. You're speaking words, I don't understand what they mean. The funny thing is that if you think about this, gravity gun is really far detached from ASC1, right? At this point, it's changed so much that it's not like the fact that they distort gravity in some way is the only thing common between them, right? It's no longer really like, hey, I can manipulate objects.
That would be too much.
Just trying to protect myself from, you know, lawsuits from Valve.
Of a ripoff. Aside from that, I wanted the device to be attached to the user's body rather than held in their hands. At the end of the day, this piece of technology will swing their entire mass around.
That's false, by the way. Was this devlog released before Half-Life Alyx? We can fact check this. March 23, 2020, and this was May. So 2 months after.
Round. It shouldn't be that easy for it to slip out of their hands. And
oh yeah, this is false, by the way, lore-wise speaking, because I kind of I started thinking about how Astortion and AST1 in general would work, and the current idea is that it's more of a warp drive rather than something that accelerates you. So you are not experiencing being pulled when you're using it. So there's really, it's not like your entire hand is being dragged somewhere and you are being dragged with it. Instead, you are kind of just moving currently. So that's not a concern anymore. But the design is cool, so it can stay. You should stop the poll. Okay, I'm gonna. It's your gravity that changed. Maybe Aperture Science made it. It's not exactly your gravity. It's difficult to explain because I don't know. No, it's not exactly gravity. It's not like your acceleration is changing because you are not really. What does it even mean, right? To change gravity. It is a similar concept because gravity acceleration is kind of the same thing, right? But it's not. I don't know. There is I may make a video about that, but I'd have to make a lot more research into that because I don't want to say something stupid. That's why I don't want to talk about this right now. Going to learn metaphysics to understand. Coming back. Superliminal took a scrapped Portal idea and made it into a game. There is precedent to this. But Superliminal, right, was also really different than the prototype from Portal, right? Because somebody recreated that from Portal, and the Portal was all about taking pictures, if I remember correctly. And like it was the same thing with like playing with perspective, right? But Superliminal was awesome with the fact that you could just pick something up and move it around. I wonder how it would feel to use AST1 in real life. So it wouldn't, right? That's the thing. It's like, unlike if you're in a car and you're, using your brakes, you're gonna feel that you're decelerating. With AST1, you don't feel that. You're just moving. That's the general idea. Is there any functional difference between what the device does and gravity changing? Well, if you think about gravity changing as saying, hey, you are now being attracted to this point, then the difference is that gravity would depend on the distance between you and the object. In Astortion, it's not the case. It's only the direction. The acceleration is the same. So that would be the main difference. Because if you were actually to implement it so that is, inversely proportional to a square of the distance, then it would be unplayable. Because there would be a very specific range of distance where this makes sense, and then anything closer just crashes into it, and anything that's too far just isn't being affected. The lore of the system was different, but I believe the functionality was the same. I mean, the basic idea, right? But in what was the name of the game from Valve? I don't remember, or the code name for it. But there you made pictures, and then you use these pictures to like place objects in the world, and in Superliminal you could just pick them up. F-stop, exactly. It would be probably really nauseating. Maybe. Have you decided on soundtrack for the game? Are you looking for musicians, composers? Nothing has changed since the last live stream, which is that I'm not ready for music yet. I'll be informing you guys. There's probably gonna be a video announcing that I'm looking for a composer. Side note, Superliminal is really cool. It's extremely cool. I recently saw, oh my god, I don't know if you've seen this. The Entropy Center is a game that's amazing if you like Portal. I mean, it's not out yet, but I've seen the trailer like 2 days ago, and I really like it. I like what they're going for. It has the like Portal 2 Superliminal kinda, because it's a first person puzzle game, so obviously it's gonna feel similar, but yeah, I have huge hopes for that. Proceeding with the video. Their inevitable demise. Initially I was thinking about some kind of belt or suspenders, but while I was drawing I came up with this glove that covers her entire forearm. I honestly didn't think about it back then, but it really resembles an Assassin's Creed hidden blade design, so I guess I was a little bit inspired by that, even if subconsciously. For the sake of my sanity, we're gonna ignore the fact. Somebody asked if Half-Life Alyx was out. You have an answer. That the Russells from Half-Life Alyx are also gloves. Back to the sketch. I had to redo her hair, so that she wouldn't look like some kind of samurai. I went with the all messy ponytail look. I think it works okay, if I do say so myself. At this point I wanted to leave this sketch as it was, but later I decided to go back and color it. Video is a bit too quiet, I can fix that. I'm being too loud. And I'm really glad I did. Unfortunately I went with a black and white design for the device, and now it just looks like a portal gun. But you know what, screw this. All art is derivative, and we're all gonna die, and I don't care anymore. We're just ripping every single game there is at this point anyway. Still, there's one fundamental problem with this character. What is she holding right now? Lipstick or Astortion devices? She is holding a key to the main terminal in the facility in which the game takes place. Your main objective revolves around finding it, essentially. Every one of those sketched hairs will be simulated in the final game. Just you wait, you're not ready for... My first game is for my hair simulation. Meant to be simple, so it won't take too long to finish. And drawing animations for this character alone would take me a lifetime. That's why I'm gonna make it a little bit easier on myself and use pixel art, only for now. This art style will serve just as a placeholder, and later we'll decide for sure in which art direction we want to go. That being said, I already prepared some sprites for our character. After some trials, I've chosen a 24 Do you know how long the game will take to play through? I am aiming for, and this is a huge number, right? So it may change, but I'm aiming for, to be safe, 4 hours to 7 hours is like the window that I'm targeting. I wish, like in an ideal world, it would be like 7 hours to 10 hours, something like that. But you know, I need to stay grounded. Placeholder, exactly. Oh, little did I know. By 24 canvas size, and here she is. Like this all design, I really don't like it. You know, like I used to love it, but now I'm like, it doesn't. Where's her neck? There's no neck, and she's just like blocky overall. Created a simple walk cycle, run cycle. I'll make sure to play it for 20. Falling and crouching poses. Then I put together this lifeless little ground texture and yeah, imported all of that. That's what I talked about. This is the only tile that I made. And I was like, oh, I want to make my own assets. I made nothing. She looks so small. To Unity. She's like 20 pixels tall, and the game's gonna be 270 pixels tall, so she's gonna appear small no matter how she looks like. Now I can finally focus on fleshing out the gameplay mechanics. Sadly, that's all I've got for this video. So see you in the next one. Take care. I see I pressed something. What is art? I hate these cars. Why do I add them? I was like, can you confirm if this is like, because I was thinking about this recently, about just getting rid of it, just not having it at the end of the video. Because I don't know. I don't think, and even if they are here, when the video stops, right? You end up with like an autoplay and other choices. So like I don't see the reason for that. But YouTube is like, no, you need it. You need it because it's important. What app did you draw her in? I believe it was Krita, if that's how you pronounce that. Krita. No, wait. This is how you spell that. That's the software. I don't know if I said that correctly. Some people on YouTube include end card design in the video that makes the cards look nice. But I'm thinking about whether or not they are important, because let's take a look at the most recent video, right? One of the most recent videos. I could use much more space here to display my patrons, which I feel like would be much better use of space than having these two cards here. And that's what I was thinking about, just getting rid of them, not having them. Because too bad, I don't think I can see how many people actually clicked on them. I don't think that's statistics in YouTube Studio. I don't use them. I don't have autoplay. I get rid of them with a plugin, no offense to YouTube. Yeah, it's especially annoying when they cover something that you want to see, because the video doesn't account for them, right? So there's like, the video continues, but the cards appear on top of that. This is so annoying. How do you record on your screen? Like right now or in general? I'm using OBS, if that answers your question. I use them rarely, but yeah, usually it's just accidental. Yeah. Going back to the channel, which is right here. I feel like it would be more likely that people would go to your channel to watch more rather than clicking those options. Yeah, I like, again, especially since they are surrounded by so many other stuff, right, that they can click, because there's the whole sidebar on the right and whatever. Anyway, using my poor understanding of linear algebra to control gravity. Okay. I don't think I say a single word about linear algebra in this entire video. To be honest. Also, what is happening? Do you see that? The like white glow behind the player? What's up with that? It's going somewhere. Artificial marathon continues. Maybe just keep the Patreon one. Yeah, that would make much more space because it's much smaller. And I think I can even make it even smaller. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. But also notice that this is not YouTube, right? They are doing some A/B testing. If I were to switch to my main channel, right here, right, this is a default YouTube with the description being here and whatever. And whenever I switch to the second one, it's just, it looks like, I don't know, a mobile version or something. You have this thing here, and then here are comments, and the description is here. It's kind of like, I don't like it. I have the new layout too. Well, that's unfortunate. Probably some new YouTube feature. Yeah, but as I said, it seems to be just A/B testing for now because it depends on the channel, on the account. But has been out for quite a while. Yeah, I've noticed that. But the glow disappeared, so that's interesting. Okay, it's going somewhere. Also, the 3 words at the beginning of the video, continuing my trend here. I've recreated my prototype. This time I've thought out everything. But more about that later. First, let me show you what I've got. This red block is a static anchor. It's not gonna move, but it will attract us towards itself, so we can use it to move around. Similarly, this semi-transparent one is also a static anchor. The only difference is that with the first one, as soon as I hit it, the connection is gonna break. The glow is started when you start a video. Oh my god, it is! So weird. This one I cannot hit. I will simply move straight through it. The connection... Oh, okay, this is the video I was talking about. Okay, I'm also gonna break if I pass near the center, but it allows the player to launch themselves in a cool way. Also, if you see the character rotating or flipping weirdly, it's because the visuals are not ready yet. This is the next thing that I'm gonna work on. Anyway, at the bottom here we have a blue dynamic anchor. It's attracted towards me the same way I'm attracted towards it. Unless I crouch, then I will act as a static anchor, and only the box will move towards me. I'm saying stuff weirdly. I still say, like, don't get me wrong, I still say stuff extremely off, but now if an anchor pulls, this just hurts me. Pulls us towards some wall, we can still move. In this case, I can walk on the circle collider because the anchor inside is pulling me as if the center... I think it has something to do with the full screen glow messing with the normal player, maybe. Is it behaving like ambilight? Ambilight? I don't know. I don't know that word. I don't know what this is. To the end cards, I'd prefer it much more if YouTube channels made playlists again and recommend based on playlists instead of promoting a single video or links. I see. Ambient light. I don't know. The center of gravity was inside the circle. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's the player can walk on practically any angle possible. Which is actually funny because a lot of people, when I released the video about my pixel art renderer, people were like, well, this is good, but I don't like that the character is rotating, right? I'm like, what do you expect me to do? Draw animations for every possible rotation there is? And it's funny because I think I'm gonna do it. there may be a video about that in the future because I was thinking about this, and it's actually not that difficult because you can divide it into 4 sections, right? 90 degrees each, and then you can derive every single necessary rotation by just rotating this one section by 90 degrees, by 90, 180, and 270. And then you only need 4 variants of every animation, which is still a lot, but it's doable, you know, it's possible. What about 45 degrees? Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking 0 degrees, 22.5, 45, 67.5, and 90. And the 90 is actually just 0 rotated by 90 degrees, because you can rotate by full quarters pixel art, right? 8 times 4 variance. Why 8? Hold on, where did you get 8 from? Especially with the UV mapping thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing the work, so might as well. 45 degrees. So how does Sonic games do it? Probably like that. I think Sonic has like 145 degree rotation, right? I don't think it has more, but I don't remember. So does that mean the player layer will have the pixel filter over it also? Yeah, every single layer is gonna be pixel art. I'm changing the user interface to be full HD because I wanna go for something like Celeste. Is that how we say that? Is it Celeste or Celeste? I don't know how to put accent on that, but you know the game. You definitely know the game. It has like a full HD UI, and then the game is pixel art, and this is what I want to do as well, because honestly I don't like the font and it's really difficult to read. First one, Celeste. Okay. Because yeah, like I mean, you're technically right, but also you say button, you don't say baton, right? So why do you say Celeste? It's kind of Ambilight is Philips brand name for ambient light on their TVs. Oh, okay, I see. They were first to introduce it, so the name stuck with me. But enough about Glow. Sorry to distract from the main topic. There is no main topic. I don't think we can say that we have a main topic. I'm happy that everybody is agreeing that Celeste is a great game. English is full of exceptions. Yeah, I know, but that's why I asked. This green block is another type of anchor that we can play around with. It behaves like a casual static anchor, but if I crouch while pulling it, it will pop out and become dynamic. So there's no problem with that, right? Because even if there's no pulling of both objects towards each other, of the player and the object towards each other, you can still like get the anchor out of the socket, because that's later you're gonna discover that this is called a socket and there's actually a thing on the wall that holds this anchor. The main topic is talking about everything and anything at the same time. Exactly. The way English reduces unstressed vowels when you say button with final stress, I hear it as a button. I don't know. No, definitely the first pronunciation. And I'm delayed, F. That's better, okay. Anyway, I call it a mounted anchor. I also... Yeah, so like the mounted anchor does not exist anymore. It's any dynamic anchor can be put inside of a socket, and the socket is just gonna hold it in place. I also created this yellow box. It's basically a dynamic anchor, but I restricted its Y coordinates, so it can only move horizontally. Yeah, and this is gonna become the anchor on a rail as well. This is also fun. A dynamic anchor can serve as a static one if there's a wall between. Also, I can drag it alongside the wall, which for now looks a little bit broken, but we can make a mechanic out of that. This is not gonna be possible if I remove the pulling of each object. I see. Here's the part I was talking about. Okay, I see. You're right. But it's kind of, it feels really buggy, and I don't. The best part is that I don't know a way. I mean, maybe there is a way to make it feel smooth when you're doing this, because currently it's kind of jaggy, right? It's like, and I don't think it's that useful in design. But that's interesting. I need to reconsider this now that you reminded me of this. Little question, the hardest thing you had to do yet? It's a good question. I think my pixel renderer, just because of how little I used to know about rendering in general prior to creating it, like it required me to learn a lot about rendering, and I still have a lot to learn. Don't get me wrong, but that was something that I think I spent like a month just doing this, trying to do it. So that would definitely be difficult. If you put it on a rail, maybe it will be better. The anchor, no, because I don't know. This requires further experimentation. Besides, the same concept could be recreated with a socket or a socket on rails. I know that doesn't exist, but can you do a curved rail? Yes. Also, Unity has this nice package with splines, finally. I don't know if you know that. It's not ready yet, I think, but... No, it is, but it's only for... It's only for the newest version, I think. Yeah, 2022. But we finally have like a native solution for making splines and using them. So this is what I use a lot as well. The best part is that every single anchor, player included, are based on the same components, anchor and physics. The former takes care of interacting with different anchors, while the latter manages their gravity. All of this makes anchors independent of the player. Yeah, Alice's physics. This component right here is actually the physics manager that I talked about in the recent, while the latter manages their gravity. All of this makes anchors independent of the player, meaning that I can connect them together however I like. For example, this mounted anchor with this dynamic one. And everything works as expected. Or I can connect this mounted anchor to something static, and it pops. Maybe this could be another mode for the device. Instead of connect... I'm laughing at my own jokes, oh my god. Imagine playing this game but the camera rotates with the player. That would be crazy. Now I'm thinking about this. It's not a silly thing to connect any two anchors together and make them attract themselves. Anyway, as I said, now I'm gonna work on our character's appearance, the way she rotates while in the air and stuff like that. Additionally, I'd like to make it possible to add multiple anchors to the same rigid body. Cause it would be fun, probably. But that's all for now, so see you in the next video. These were simpler times, by the way. I'm not sure if you know, if you remember. You need to be a very old channel viewer to remember that. But I used to release a video a week. So there was like a week time period between every single one of these videos. And it was such a nightmare to get that, you know, on a schedule. Imagine playing Astortion in first player, oh my god. Camera rotation and zooming is hard with pixel art. Zooming in and out of itself is not that difficult, but when you introduce parallax, yeah, it's a nightmare. With parallax, it's just simpler time. I mean, depending on, you know, what aspect we're talking about. Last week's video, which was a month ago, yeah, because that was a thing. That was the joke, right? Because I used to have like even my about section. I used to have it like, hey, you can find my weekly devlogs in here. But I gave up. I gave up after this video because you can see this video is about nothing. This is a 1 minute long video where I'm just like, hey, I added a speech bubble because this was all I managed to do throughout the entire week. And the next week I was also like not ready. I didn't have anything prepared, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna upload a speed paint. And then I essentially gave up on the idea of, you know, having a strict schedule. I don't think it's healthy, personally. Currently, I do have a schedule of like 1 video a month, right? And that's not gonna change. Because that's like that's perfect and it works for me. But having one video a week is just... It's better to stick with less fast-paced release schedule for better content. I know we have a lot to get through, but could we add the Darkwood video to the queue? It's a great video. We may. Hi everyone, welcome back. This week I've worked on a few different things. First of them, which you can notice already, is lighting. So basically I was looking for a way to show which anchor the player is connected to. I experimented a little bit with Unity's 2D lighting, and this is what I came up with. Now when I connect myself to something, a beam of light will appear. And when I start interacting, it will get brighter. Similarly, the anchor itself starts shining. I kinda like this effect, and I'm gonna stick with it for now. Next on the list is the animation system. Our character will now try to do... I actually have a much better idea for showing that something is connected to the anchor, which is doing a more of a distortion effect, like something that you would see around a black hole kind of thing. But that's probably gonna be a video on its own. Because a lot of people were like, hey, I like the light beams, where are they? Why are they not here anymore? Like, I know, because that something like that is necessary, some sort of a indication that, hey, you are connected to this anchor which is in this direction. Like heat, yeah, kinda. Do flips whenever possible. When I release myself mid-air, for example, or when I fall off some platform, are the lights still in the game? No. Additionally, I added a new animation for sliding down a slope, as you can see here. But most importantly, I had to deal with a very serious problem concerning Unity's animator component, which is that, as far as I know, you cannot synchronize transitions with the frame rate of your animation. And I need to do so, because my animations are done in 10 frames per second. So it looks weird when all of a sudden, because of a transition, one frame appears for a split moment, and then immediately another one is shown. That's why I created a component that hacks around those issues. Basically, I set the speed of every animation to 0, and I change the duration and current state manually. This is the inception. This is the beginning of Reanimator, by the way, right here. Unity and its godforsaken animator, which is like, I don't think I've yet to met a person who would be cool with the way things are when it comes to animations in Unity. Because I swear to God, like my first exposure to Unity was like 7 years ago, and the animation system was exactly the same. Nothing has changed. And there's so many things that they could add to that, right? Especially if you compare it to like, it's kind of unfair to compare it to Unreal Engine's animation system, right? But what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of things they can improve on, and there's nothing changing in this regard. What prompts you to create very generic solutions like typewriter and Reanimator instead of things specific to your game? Because I wanna use them in other games too, right? I'm trying to think ahead, right? There's more games that I wanna make. Although now with the current state of Unity, that's kinda that seems like not a greatest decision, but we'll see how it goes. And there's also fun, included when you're working on something that's more generic, and also I can share it with you at some point, right? And maybe somebody else will find it useful. So there's a lot of stuff. Are you still happy you went with Unity? Well, I don't know. I don't know if, if I get to pick another engine, what engine would I go with, right? Is the question. Is there something that would actually be better for the development? Because Unity in and out of itself doesn't really annoy me that much. The animator is like the main pain point, which I
kind of mitigated by creating Reanimator. The process of developing a game in Unity is not, I don't have any issues with that. Mechanim is good for 3D animation, but it was definitely made for 3D and nothing else. Yeah, but even when it comes to 3D, right? The fact that you cannot have nested state machines is like, why can't I do that? The only thing, capable of something like that is maybe layers, but then you only have there's only so much things that you can do with a layer. Godot can be a good replacement for 2D game. Yeah, but we also talked about Godot last time, right? My problem with Godot is that I need to see a game, like a proper game made with Godot, so that I can be sure, right? Because with Unity, I don't have this problem, right? Because I played Hollow Knight, I played Ori and the Blind Forest, and I know that you can make amazing games with it. And when it comes to Godot, it's, I mean, it's early, so it's obvious, but I'd love to have a proof. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Godot people, I hear you, counterpoint your C#. You are, no, guys, no, don't argue about engines. This is the least productive thing that we could be doing right now. Lastly, I polished how anchors work. I've added support for attaching multiple anchors to the same rigid body. This box right here is a great example. And here we've got a similar one, but it can only rotate. This is cool. Also now I really like this swing component. I'm definitely gonna use it. Also now anchors can specify how strong... Oh, hold on. This is more of a platforming kind of thing, but I really like it. On average, how long does it take you to make one of your systems? It's really difficult to tell. Typewriter was the biggest one, and it's been like 3 months. But it was also back when I used to have a full-time job and a part-time university, so 3 months definitely wasn't, actual 3 months of work. But the average, I'd say like a month. A month is like a decent amount of time. Has anything come of this multi-anchor thing? Well, it's still in the game. But this, it's part of the core system. If you were asking about puzzle designs, then yeah, I'm using it. The name of this episode makes me think of Sonic Mania music. Perhaps. Also now anchors can specify how strong they are, and it will affect how much force they apply to other objects. This anchor's got a strength of 3, so it yeets me out of existence. Additionally, mass now affects how strong we can pull something. This blue box is 5 times heavier than we are, and so pulling it is a very slow process. At this point, I'm really satisfied with how all of this works. I think that I can stop working on... The stream is 1.5 hours already. Oh my god, it is. God, okay, I did not expect this to be so fast. I'm making my own game, and I feel like I only want to make tools rather than use them to make levels. You should team up with somebody who wants to make levels, and then you're gonna make a game together. Where can we find your phase layout? What is a phase layout? Where we can super strong anchors will be a great subversion when it first appears in the final game. Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be like, wow, what happened?
How many levels are there so far? So, well, it's difficult to tell because I'm working on a few areas at the same time and I don't really count them. But say like few dozens is quite a lot. I don't know, 20, 30, something like that, if I were to guess. There's also a lot of levels that are just like, you know, don't have puzzles in them. I mean, your work plan. Well, it's not available anywhere. You can go to the, because I don't have a work plan like publicly available what I want to do, right? I only have the rough phases that I showed you at some point, because I don't want to make my plans public, because there's a lot of things that you're not supposed to see in regards of what I'm working on. Now that I think about it, your season 2 finale, is that how you pronounce that? Finale? Is that the mentioned a 3-phase system, but I don't recall seeing it in the first few episodes. A phase 3 system. What are you talking about? I assume you're more enough to start. Which one? There's no system in phase 3. There's soundtrack, visuals, story, and level design. And it's been this way since this is exactly how the previous one looked like as well. In your own words, share what you have done instead of what you are planning to do. Yeah, and the other part of this is that, you know, I don't want to spoil the game, right? You shouldn't know everything that I have planned for the game. Do you have plans for sound design? Will you use free sounds, create some yourself, or work with someone? Maybe. I will be delegating everything sound related to one person, and I'll be announcing the fact that I'm looking for that person in the near future. And we're gonna do a revenue share, essentially. But you need to wait till I announce that, because I haven't yet. No, I mean the 3 phases as a whole. I don't understand, right? I need a full sentence with the context, because I don't know what you mean by that. What is a 3-phase system? I think they mean that you haven't mentioned the 3-part plan for the game before. I have, actually, in the channel update. I can show you that really quick. Right here. Here. And development. This is the exact same plan that I showed you here. It's just, this is the old style of videos, by the way. I think they mean that you haven't mentioned the 3rd part plan for, oh wait, I'm reading the same thing. Yeah, so like, as you can see, it is here. It's always been here. But I think finally is also common. Wait, hold on. So what's the finale? Finale. Wait, oh, okay, I don't know. About Motion Canvas. What state is it in now? Will it be released publicly in the near future? I'm dedicating this entire month towards Motion Canvas, because I want to make it public finally. So hopefully it's gonna be at the end of this month or at the beginning of the next month. And it's really close to being finished, quote unquote finished. Finished as in being ready for becoming open, because there's been a lot of things that were constantly changing, right? The API itself and so on. And currently we're practically at the point where everything looks good, okay, and I'm like okay with it, and I can make it public. I'm so excited for Motion Canvas. I am too. I'm really excited to see what people will make with it, especially. Wait, are you using Unity source code for your tools systems? I forgot Unity is closed source. Unity itself is closed source, but the packages are not. Everything written in C# is available for some time now. Hello, the guy from Naruto. Oh, Naruto, excuse me. Devlogs, of course. Maybe a demo a day. Can I ask what typewriter covers in terms of Astortion's architecture? It seems like it started as a dialogue system, but it also manages flags and other things that are used throughout the game. Yeah, it has become the centralized like database with all the information related to the game, essentially. Whenever there's something that, you know, has to be saved, it can be saved using typewriter. It's like a micro database now. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of typewriter, when are you planning to release it? I'd love to give it a go. Unfortunately, typewriter is waiting for Motion Canvas to be released because I don't want to have two projects at the same time going. It's actually crazy to me that you're using Unity with the amount of things you reinvent. I'm crazy, generally speaking. I'm currently working on in-memory persistent database in Rust as a way to learn it. When I will finish with it, I would probably release a video about it using Motion Canvas. That sounds amazing. Props for using Rust, by the way. Gotta be my favorite language. Where were we? You and distracting me. My
Mechanics
God.
and
okay.
Focus more on level design. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do next week. But that's all for now, so see you in the next video and take care.
Take care, Jacob, take care. Did you self-taught how to structure the game so well? Do you have any books or guides to recommend? Did other knowledge not related to Unity or video games, such as app or web app, help you? It's difficult to say. I'm mostly like going with my guts, you know? But I also, you know, I wouldn't say that it's perfect. It's definitely not. I have recently started reading on game engine architecture in general, which also kind of covers, you know, game architecture, because these things are inherently related. So I'm getting there with the knowledge, but no. I mostly like, I wouldn't say self-taught. I would say just like I'm experimenting and I'm using whatever seems to be working fine. I need to make an update on the architecture video, by the way, because I changed a few things and I feel like I have something interesting to show you. At this point, isn't it better to make your own engine? There's a lot of things that go into making your own engine, and it's definitely a nice thing to do, and I'd love to do that. Like, I would have fun doing it. But I want to finish a game, and I want to make it faster, and I'm pretty sure that making a game with a ready engine will always be faster than making your own engine from the ground up. Weren't we watching Sped Up before? Yeah. But I think it reset it, and I didn't change it back. Considering it has become a database, are you thinking about splitting it into dialogue system and database system? Or what is the advantage of having everything highly coupled? The advantage is that the main problem that I would have with this design would be that currently each dialogue and each event and each rule is considered an entry in the database, can be used as an identifier. Otherwise, whenever I'd need to, for instance, save how many times this specific line has been used, I would need to create an identifier in the tool for the database and then connect them. This way it all works, you know, as one thing. And for me, it's easier to reason about that. But also, it's not coupled, because it's not that highly coupled, because the Blackboard system, which is what stores the data together with the save system, it's kind of separate from typewriter itself. So it just so happens that facts and their IDs are being used as entries in Blackboards. $12 left to go. They heard us talking about Godot. YouTube's recommending a Godot video to Jacob. Where? Oh my god. Godot 3.5 is out. And it's sick. Interesting. Random question, but what is your favorite color? When it comes to saturated colors, it's green, but normally it's black. If I can pick any color, then it's black. You're talking about Godot like it's the devil. Lol. I don't use Godot mainly myself. I'm more of an Unreal guy, but I would consider Godot to be great for 2D games. Unity got an amazing 2D renderer though, so Unity is still a good option for some people. I mean, I'm pretty sure they just joked about the fact that there's Godot in the recommended, which is kind of funny. It's kind of how recently somebody asked me what I think about object-oriented programming, and YouTube started recommending me people criticizing object-oriented programming. It's kind of funny. Anyway, what do we have next? Is there anything interesting? We may want to start skipping videos, guys. Oh, okay, no, we need to watch this, because this was the first video that got really popular. And by really popular, I mean, back in the day, I used to have like 60 subscribers, and my videos would get like 30 to 40 views. And this one got 600 or something like that. So this was a major, like, oh my god, I'm becoming famous kind of thing. Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today I would like to show you 3 major things that I was working on for the past week. This landscape, procedural fog, and some tweaks in the animation system. Introduction sequence takes place in front of the entrance to our research facility. Introduction sequence has changed a little bit, right? Especially the environment. I'm not a huge fan of the light gray. That's kinda, hold on, can we go back there? Like it's really bright, right? And the colors are really like overly saturated. But I really like this framing, except the receiver is looking different. It's now a circle. I posted it on Twitter at some point. Hey, I remember this video. I think it was the first one I saw. That was the first video I found of you. This is interesting. I think I found your channel with this one. Astortion dark mode. The atmosphere gives a sense of scale to background objects. Yeah, because it's supposed to be huge, right? Been a patron ever since. This is amazing. Yeah, Occult, I actually recall you. You're not lying. You are one of the very first patrons. Further to the left, in front of the entrance to our research facility. This is probably the only time we are outside. The rest of the game will happen indoor, and that's probably why I got carried away a little bit. This is the initial sketch. The game will start near this fountain. From here the player can go to the left, where the receiver will get exposed. Further to the left, they will face the facility's main entrance, which I'm currently working on. Most of the past week I've spent trying to figure out my workflow. I've started using Sprite and I'm still learning, but I enjoy it so far. This is interesting because there's like a time-lapse of me painting, and if you take a look at the retention graph on YouTube, everybody clicked away at this moment with this like speed paint. Where is this music from? I don't have this in the description, so I'm assuming it's from Epidemic Sound, because that's another thing that can copy strike us, because I only have the other channel connected to the account. A-Sprite looked a lot different back then, or is that a theme? No, it's a theme. I'm using a theme that makes it not pixelated, because I'm not a huge fan of the default look. Anyway, this scene is built using a perspective camera for the parallax effect. I hate that. Which I hope nicely conveys how big the things in the background are. There's still a lot of... The fog is a really cool effect. I like it. I need to make a video on it separately. I also used it in the tutorial section, but it's a bit different, but the idea is the same. Stuff that I have to polish, but I don't want to focus on the details just yet. Let's talk about the fog. At first, I wanted to use a simple sprite and just... Is a perspective camera still used for parallax? No, I'm using a orthographic camera. Just add some nice gradient to it using Unity's shader graph. Because with Pixel Renderer, I need some granular control, I don't know how to say that, over how the layers are moving, you know, and it's much easier to do that with an orthographic camera. But I ended up falling down the rabbit hole and creating this procedurally generated shader. I can change how pixelated the fog is, how many steps in opacity there are. Was that me making the ha sound? Like, there are. Hold on. How many steps in opacity there are. And also specify the direction in which the fog is moving. I also have this deter variable which controls how noisy the edges are. Finally, and this is like the main difference, right, between older devlogs and newer devlogs. It's like, I'm showing you how to use that. I'm not saying how I made it, right? I'm not trying to even explain how this shader works, which is something I totally do. I would have a, you know, entire 3-minute long video explaining how this shader works. I've tweaked the animation system a little bit. Now, instead of flipping, how is the shader pixelation done? It's what you're doing essentially is, you can see that on my GitHub. I have a video about that because it's kind of difficult to explain, but you're multiplying by a value, you flooring this, and then you divide by a value. There's probably a mathematical name for this. But if you go to interactive foliage shaders for Unity, this may... there's a link to my GitHub, and I'm actually, if you take a look at the shaders, they are using the exact same technique to do the pixelation. The sprite, I'm using different animations based on the character's direction. I did that because the main character is missing her right leg, and flipping basically mirrors the image, so right becomes left. And my OCD says a big no-no to that. Same with the device on her right hand. I've also added more sprites for the idle pose. Now when you stop walking, my component will choose the best of them, based on which of the character's feet is facing forward. It's a technique used... I love this. This is so... such a stupid detail. But I love it so much. It's mostly in 3D, but I thought it would be fun to implement it here. Similarly, in the future, I'd like to simulate inverse kinematics. I don't want to simulate inverse kinematics. It is impossible. I've been thinking about this ever since I dropped this video. There's no reasonable way of doing it. I'm gonna die on this hill. Unfortunately, that's all for today. When it comes to my long-term plans, I wanna finish this intro sequence as well as the first level, and then release them as a playable demo, to gather some feedback hopefully. Yeah, I totally do that. I totally did that. Anyway, going forward in time. This is an interesting video. I think also, hold on, I shared this on my Reddit. Because back then I used to post stuff on Reddit. I didn't know better. To be honest, it's posting things on Reddit is just, it's so not worth it in terms of, because I mean, you know, I don't have anything against Reddit, but the comments over there are always unnecessarily mean, you know? Like if you compare them to Twitter or to YouTube, they're just like, there's so many people that just, I don't know, just choose violence when they wake up. Can you like get the character draw from point, something like a vector drawing? Yeah, but then you lose the control, right? Something like that would be possible, but I need this artistic control over every single pixel, and that would require me to essentially draw 4 variants for every slope possible, which is not something that I'm willing to do. Oh yeah, I saw that on Reddit. Now I remember. Yeah, it did happen. What are your plans around demos now? I'm still working towards a demo. I need it. I need to finish it. It's gonna the playable demo will probably be first released to my patrons. But before that, we're probably gonna have some testing, right? It's just that I focus on other things, and now I'm kind of back to making levels and designing the world so that people can actually play the game, right? Did you make a custom font for Astortion? No. I don't remember the name of it, but I just googled like a free to use pixel art font, and I just picked the first one. Moving on to the next video, which is this one. We're not gonna watch this one. This is boring. This is boring. This may be interesting. Speed up this. That's a feature that doesn't exist. There's no longer, you don't get to choose any dialogue options. Because I was thinking about this, and I was like, that's not really necessary. It doesn't really fit the game well. Like, the dialogue is not really my main focus, right? And the story is not really branching in and out of itself. So this would just feel like padding, just giving like fake options to make it feel like it's interactive. I feel like the current approach with typewriter being like an optional stuff fits the game much better. Have these talking sound effects changed since the video? Yeah, they no longer exist because I made them really quickly, specifically for the video. Just to have something, and then I remove them because I'm not a huge fan of them. I feel like I'm gonna go for more of a typewriter sound. Get it? Typewriter. You know, the one where it's instead of like voice, it's like clicking letters on a keyboard of a typewriter. You can use implicit choice for most options. Exactly, and that's what I'm going for. Does typewriter still use Unity timelines? No, but you can use the dialogue system with a Unity timeline. That's still possible. You can just like in this video, we're gonna get to that. Hi everyone, welcome back. It's been a while, but I'm gonna slow this down. The dialogue system is finally ready. So let's take a look at how the cutscene that you've just seen works. A cutscene consists of multiple timelines tied together by an animator controller. Here you can... Yeah, so you can still do that with typewriter. You can have a timeline and you have a dialogue track and you just rearrange however you want the dialogue to appear. But it's really just for cutscenes, because normally typewriter can just figure out that, hey, okay, I'm gonna wait for a key press and I'm gonna display the next dialogue, right? There's nothing fancy. This is really only useful when you want to synchronize the dialogue with the animation, as I did in this cutscene. But there's gonna be like 4 cutscenes in the entire game, so multiple timelines. Good ending, you escaped happily. Bad ending, you escaped sadly. The illusion of the choice. Pretty much, yeah. Before Unity, let us use dark mode. Yeah, exactly. These were the days. I feel like character-specific sounds give them more life and character. There is something about that. But then again, like a typewriter sound can also have different pitches, right? And stuff like that. So we'll see. Together by an animator controller. Here you can see how the state machine for the specific cutscene looks like. Usually we use animator to control animations, but it's not the case here. The sole purpose of the state machine is to evaluate how the cutscene should look like, based on the player's choices. It's done using these state machine behaviors called cutscene segments. They notify the cutscene component about what timeline should be played next. This example is extremely simple. We start with this awakening state at the end. It was only in Pro, am I right? Yes, that was these were the darker days with a lighter
which the player
theme. Is presented with a choice. They can either take the architect's offer or they can question his intentions. This is what these transitions represent. If the choice is equal to 0, we go to the agreement state. If it's 1, we end up in the trash. Yeah, so this entire thing in the trash. It was a stupid idea. It required a lot of setup. Not really a good thing. So this whole like using animator to structure this is not currently. Typewriter does this, right? So I don't think we need to watch. I just wanted you to see the initial intro because I think it's cool, and then I don't think there's anything interesting in this video. Anything else interesting? The menu, but the menu has changed. That reminds me, are you gonna be getting the Pro version of Unity to get rid of the watermark? I'm considering getting a Pro version, but I'd leave the Unity logo, but change it to something like made with the default as Unity engine, just for the fun of it. So like I'm not like, if you're asking if I'm gonna get Unity Pro specifically to get rid of Unity's logo, then I don't really feel the need to do that. I'm not really concerned, by the fact that, oh no, people will think that the game is worse because it was made with Unity. I'm like, whatever. Let them think that. Anyway, we're going to the menu. You can make watermark really pretty by customizing it. Yeah, definitely. You can make it like match the game, right? Maybe make it pixel art or whatever. Everyone, thanks for being here. This is the 7th episode of my devlog series, and the game I'm working on finally got a name. Astortion. Here you can see... Oh my god, this is such an achievement. I found the game, the name for the game. Somebody was like, I don't think it was in this comment section, but somebody was like, man, Astortion is such a bad name because it sounds like abortion. I'm like, oh my god. It's crazy how words sound similar. Make the watermark say made with Unity. Trust me, it's not shovelware. Exactly. Like I kid you not. Unless Unity, will force me to change it, because I guess they can do that. Astortion is a cool name. It's fine. I mean, I like it. Honestly, Unity making its logo appear on games that didn't use Unity Pro has got to be one of the worst marketing schemes I've heard of. Yeah, but like, this is post hoc analysis, right? I don't think that anybody could foresee this happening. Now, from our perspective, like, it makes so much sense, right? If you think about this, but I'm pretty sure like their intentions were okay, but it's weird that they haven't changed that, right? Yet you'd think that they would do that. It sounds more like distortion anyway, which fits. Yeah, like the name is derived from distortion.
I think that just different responses is still interesting, as it makes the dialogues more deep. Entirely different responses or different story is not necessary. Just a funny answer to a dumb dialogue option is still nice to have. I see your point, but also I feel like a lot of people hate that. Like it is this like holy grail of game development right now, with like having your choices matter, right? And I've seen a lot of people arguing about that online whenever a game doesn't do that, and we're like, oh, this is fake, this is just an illusion, this is lazy, right? So I do like myself having choices. I'm not particularly like needy when it comes to how much my choices influence the game, but I know that people can be really vicious when it comes to not having real choices. What should be going on in the person's head to draw the similarity? Yeah, exactly. You probably answered this question already, but I'm gonna ask anyway. What do you think about recent Unity's moves? I don't think I answered that question. I don't think I have anything interesting to add to the discussion. A lot of people made a lot of statements about that already. Oh my god, there was this YouTuber. Give me a second. Code Monkey is the guy. He made an interesting video about this situation. I kinda agree with him and his like philosophy that, you know, if it doesn't influence the engine, then oh well. I mean, I've spent 2 years developing the game. I can't really switch now, right? So my current idea is just finish the game and then think what to do next. What does Astortion mean? Initially, it was derived from artificial distortion of gravitational fields, which was a lore thing, but now it's kind of different. But yeah, it was like, you know, artificial distortion, Astortion kind of thing. Deltarune intentionally subverted that. It probably needed to, being a pseudo sequel to Undertale. Wait, what are you talking about? I think it worked for game devs, but for people who don't know about other engines. It's probably still possible to add fun optional dialogue in response to character action anyway. Yeah. There was a lot of misinformation that Unity games would become malware. Yeah, that's definitely... People like to talk about stuff, right? And really exaggerate certain things. Are you gonna make the light rays bend with gravity for effect? Oh, that's interesting. Technically the lighting information is in a separate texture, so it should be possible to do some fancy stuff with it. I may think about this. See the main menu that I've created this week. And here's another thing I've been working on. The save system. There are 3 slots available for us. If the slot is taken, like the first one, it displays information about where we are in the game, how much time we've spent playing it, and what percentage of it we've completed. Yeah, so just for people who may be new to the stream, what I said about... I talked about this already, but I'm planning to redesign the entire menu to be full HD, so this is gonna change. But I really like the current menu. A lot of people told me to do the portal thing, where the background's gonna change depending on where you are in the game, and this is something I want to do. So that's definitely becoming to the menu. I can resume it. I can go to the options, which are empty for now, and I can return to the main menu. Here you can see that now the second slot is also taken. Let's load it. And it's still the same. This is because this particular scene doesn't save anything aside from its title. Normal scenes will of course have some sort of checkpoints along the way and stuff. Nevertheless, the save system itself is working. The time spent in the game has increased, so the file was properly modded. Is there any reason to limit save slots to 3? Not really. Ori and the Blind Forest did that. I think Hollow Knight did that. A lot of games from the genre do that, and I want to follow this. Ink said UI. What do you mean? How do you choose which logic should be configurable visually in the editor versus in the code? It depends on how custom it is, right? If there's a lot of one-off logic where you're only gonna use it in this specific level, I want to make it editable through the editor, because then it means that it can be serialized, right? If you need to configure it from the code, you need to create like a new class or something that's gonna store it, and it just increases the size of your code base unnecessarily. Celeste does it. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm inspired by. I also talked about this, but yes. The reason is UI. Is it a Metroidvania? I purposefully avoid calling it a Metroidvania because it is a Metroidvania in like a dictionary definition of a Metroidvania, in which you gain new abilities that unlock new parts of the world. In that case, it is a Metroidvania, but a lot of people, especially nowadays, when they hear Metroidvania, they think Hollow Knight, with the whole like, oh, there's a combat system, there's there are charms, there are bosses, right, stuff like that. So in this regard, no, right? But yeah, it is a Metroidvania when it comes to unlocking new parts of the world. That was response to the question. Oh, okay. I mean, you're technically right. Hollow Knight has 4 save slots. Okay, but okay, but I think the question was like, why isn't there unlimited number of save slots, right? I think that was the context of the question. Because like, yeah, obviously you can, like, there's nothing stopping me from adding more save slots. The save system is not hard-coded to have 3 save slots or anything like that. About the system, has it changed since the last video? I had some doubts about it. No, not really. I need to redesign how it serializes stuff, because I'm currently using the naive... Whoa, what's the name of it? Is the unsafe one from C# that essentially just encodes your objects into binary data and then decodes them, and it leaves it open for vulnerabilities, if I could say that. Technically, I'm Metroidvania, but it's not like other girls. No, this is why I just want to avoid using it altogether. I don't think it adds anything to the description of the game. If I say like, oh, this is a Metroidvania, I feel like it adds more confusion, right, than helps clarifying. Puzzle Metroidvania in the way the Portal is a puzzle first-person shooter. Yes. Do you have an idea of when the game will be released? Yeah, if you go on Steam, you'll see that the planned date is 2024. I cannot give you an actual date yet, but 2024 is like the last deadline. I actually want the game to be finished a year from now. Obviously, this may not happen. This is like the soft deadline, right? And 2024 is the hard deadline. Will you release an alpha beta version before a final release? Definitely. We're gonna have playtesting, probably with patrons first, maybe then with the community as a whole. I kind of like the idea of Astortion meaning the opposite of distortion, like Alice is creating order in a chaotic system through the use of artificial gravity. Yeah, it's a way of thinking about this. Metroid Puzzler Adventure Parkour Vania. Kinda. Is safe editing really that much of a problem? Maybe Safekeeper could abstract the serialization process so devs could implement and swap in their own. It does this. You provide it with there's an interface for that. You provide your own logic, because I want to use Steam synchronization, right? For instance, same if you want to use local storage or when you're building for web, right? So that there is a way of, it's not hard coded.
How long do it will take to beat Astortion? 4 to 7 hours is what I'm aiming for. In an ideal world, it would be 7 to 10 hours. Yeah, I'm a first-person shooter gamer. Will there be hardcore parkour to pro gamer with what are you saying? What is at ETAZ? And oh, cool. Guys, you're speaking in a tongues that I don't understand. In tongues. And of course I can close the game, reopen it. Hey, this is my old wallpaper desktop. Hold on, let's go back. I think these are fillers of creation. Man. Now I have just a black screen. I've confused French and English. Okay. Pro gamers. Okay, I get it. Well, that's gonna be 2 hours for me to beat the game. I don't know how, but I can beat long games in 2 hours, like a speedrunner. If you beat it under 2 hours, I think you can refund it on Steam and get your money back. So this is an actual skill. Reopen it. Useful skill. And these saves are still here. Let me show you something else that I find. Also, look at this poor Jacob from the past. Wait, using the mono backend for building his game. Reopen it. How can you not use that? And these saves are still here. Let me show you something else that I find interesting. This is the initial scene. It will always be loaded first when the game launches. And sometimes people make a mistake of putting their startup logic in this scene. Because of that, each time they want to test their game, they need to reopen this initial scene. Oh my god, this is so funny! EL2CPP bad. What do you want to get banned? No, why is it bad? Explain this to me, because that's actually interesting. Unity folder name is distort. Was that the original name? Yeah, it was like the, when I created the project first, I just used this name. Makes modding way more I know that. I actually know that. I was thinking about this the other day because I saw a guy on YouTube hacking this Iron Lang game, right? Using like C#. And I was like, that wouldn't be so easy with EL2CPP. And performance isn't that much better than Unity's mono fork. That's not true. Even the performance of like mathematical functions, like when you're adding vectors and stuff, this is like orders of magnitudes faster. Simply because mono has huge issue with inlining methods. But yeah, anyway, unfortunately, modding with Astortion may not be possible. N-audio doesn't work with EL2CPP. I don't know what N-audio is. Is it like Fmod, but... Wait, what's the name of the other thing? Was it Fmod? I don't remember. Yeah, it was Fmod. FMOD, however you pronounce that. Lua is great for modding. Miniscript is a Lua alternative for C#. Because you're talking about stuff that I don't understand. Hit play, go through the menu and wait for the actual scene to load. I was able to avoid that. Let me open another scene and demonstrate. Oh, I wanted to say something. Oh my god, I'm all over the place. I actually switched back. If you remember my video about the architecture, I was talking about using a prefab and loading the prefab. And this prefab would contain everything necessary for the game to bootstrap. And now I'm using a scene, because it turns out it's much easier to use a scene. And then you just load this scene before any other scene is loaded. It works essentially the same, but it's a bit cleaner because you don't need to use resources and you don't need to use a path to load it. The interface has been loaded in the background, so I can still pause the game, go back to the main menu, and so on, just as if the game was started normally. Oh man, I put the prefab thing in my project too. It's a good thing, right? It's not bad. It's just I think that a scene is a bit cleaner, right? Because it doesn't require the resources. Additionally, you may notice that now the first slot is also taken. This is because if you start the game from another scene, the game won't know which file it should use.
Fortunately, every scene can tell the game exactly what save it needs via this save snapshot component. So if I, for example, change the title and hit play, the game will use this snapshot to generate current save data. And the third slot now indeed reflects that. I'm sure that being able to play any scene immediately like that will save me a lot of time later on. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, see you in the next video, and take care. Take care, Jacob, take care. So we are approaching, because I don't want to watch every single devlog that I ever made, obviously. I wanted to watch the first phase, and the first phase ended here. With this is a very special video. I don't think there's anything interesting here. Oh my god, teaching players how to play is. Hi everyone, welcome to another devlog for Astortion. Today I'd like to show you a sneak peek of the tutorial sequence that I'm currently working on. In Astortion, the main gameplay mechanic revolves around ASD1, which is a device capable of distorting gravity. At the beginning of the story, Alice, the main character, acquires said device, and this tutorial sequence takes place right after that. Let's go to the right. Here we once again meet this mysterious man. He doesn't have a name, and during the game is referred to as the Architect. He's the one who helped us obtain. I don't see much of modding potential with Astortion, so I won't fight much about EL2CPP, but if you know about Unity's performance food guns, it really won't improve the performance much, if at all. Well, I'll see, is all I'm gonna say. That's the problem, right? Because you can say that, but that would require, you know, some level of credibility from me to be like, oh, you said that, so I believe in that now, right? I can't just believe everything I hear from people. So we'll see, because that's the cool thing about having a huge project, is that you can actually measure the performance. And, you know, you can switch between mono and EL2CPP. I'd even argue that if you're developing with EL2CPP, switching to mono is much easier. So it's going to be easy to actually test the performance. Anyway, I went to the moon once. You're a moon truther. I am obligated to believe you, actually. The Architect makes me think of Ghost Runner. I actually don't know what Ghost Runner is. Will there be a level editor at some point? This is a really common question. We got that during the previous live stream. Maybe, but if so, it's gonna happen after the release. I am a tomato. ASD1, and now he's gonna teach us how to use it. But before we talk with him, you may have noticed that interactables look a little bit different. Previously they were just a white text. It wasn't ideal because on some backgrounds they were extremely hard to read. Now they've got the speech bubble, which... With Unity you have to treat any allocation as fire because of how bad the GC of Unity mono fork is. I mean, allocations are not really that huge of a problem when you have your levels divided separately, right? Because usually you just instantiate everything you need when the level loads, and then if the GC becomes a problem, you can even force it to clean up when you reload, when you switch to a different scene, because you have a black screen on the thing anyway. I wonder if there would be a possibility to create a build pipeline project template for Unity that can allow developers to create an MDK for their games, and the build pipeline hides critical logic. Isn't that how... What is it? Arc is the name of the game? It was like this game in Unreal Engine, and I think you used to use Unreal Engine to create mods for it. I think it worked like this. Are you using the addressables package for loading scenes or in general for memory management? No, because I don't really load anything. I like, you know, outside from the contents of the scene. Many Unreal games that I know of work in that way. Yeah, so that's interesting. Oh, excuse me. I think helps a lot. The way we interact with things has also changed. Now, instead of using a mouse, we've got a dedicated input. How powerful is the PC you're making Astortion on? Not really. It's like... I think I have like Intel i5, 8th generation, and then NVIDIA 1660 Ti, and 16 gigabytes of RAM. So it's like a
average setup from 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
This case is the E key. I've done this because at some point I want to add gamepad support, and this control scheme should make it much easier. Anyway, let's talk with my guy here.
There's a lot of information dumping right here, unnecessary kind of. This is definitely gonna change. But what's interesting here is how many people, right, messaged me with like, oh, you're doing this wrong because show not tell is a thing, and you should show the controls and not tell them. And I never understood that, because I mean, I get the idea behind show not tell, but the purpose of this specific level is to tell you, hey, you need to press the left mouse button and you need to hold the spacebar to use it. It's not about, you know, teaching you how to use it and how to use it to solve puzzles. It's just literally telling you which buttons you need to press, which from my experience is something that every game does. Even if you play like, you know, Portal 2, which some people would say is a great example of show not tell, they will at the very beginning tell you, hey, use WASD to walk around, because otherwise, you know, you can't expect that the player's gonna know that. What if this is the first game they ever played? Especially when it comes to Astortion, because the control scheme is very uncommon, not particularly something that you would find in other games. Can somebody tell me what show not tell thing is about? It's about how you introduce, I mean, in the context that I'm talking about, it's about how you introduce new mechanics to the player, right? So you can, for instance, just show them, give them a button on which they can stand, and this button is gonna open the door, and they're gonna naturally see the button because, for instance, its color is like stands out from the rest. And they're gonna see that, hey, if I stand on this button, the door opens and I can proceed, right? So now I just need to find something to put on this button. That's like the first puzzle in Portal. Instead of saying, hey, this is a button, you can interact with it, it's gonna open the door, right? Instead of explicitly saying the player how it works. Mario has no tutorials, and the level design basically tells everything you have to know. Yeah, that's a great example. That's like the classical example of show not tell. A lot of people have like interesting videos about that. You need the player to reach a certain level of literacy before you can trust them to understand what you're trying to show them. That's also true. Clearly, the desired method of play is to just guess at the inputs, like an AI being fed training data for the first time. See, you're saying this right now, right? But I actually try to explain this. I mean, okay, this sounds patronizing. I tried to discuss this with one commenter, and they responded with, only a 4-year-old would have a trouble figuring out how to play a game. I'm like, okay, that's a lost case. I don't think there's anything productive coming out from this discussion. Show not tell is more of a writing advice, not game tutorial. I mean, as I said, it's in the context that I'm talking about. But yeah, show not tell is also a really popular writing advice that I've seen on Pinterest somewhere randomly. That comment was written by a 5-year-old, maybe. Let's not be mean. See, but there's too much information here. It could be omitted.
This is one of the 4 ways the player can get through this tutorial.
Show not tell also isn't a hard and fast rule like all tropes. It's something to keep in mind, but you can, and many frequently do, violate it to produce a better product. Yeah, that seems reasonable. What if the dialogue appeared word by word? You mean like visually? I don't know. If it will look better, maybe. The player can do that by releasing spacebar too soon. Oh yeah, this is also a very interesting benchmark, because this was like, when I was designing typewriter, I was like, I wanted to be able of doing this, because this was, everything here was hard-coded by me. And after creating typewriter and recreating this initial scene with it, like there's no custom logic, it's just everything is configured through typewriter. Show not tell example. Metroidvania's games will lock you in a room with nothing but a new tool and a locked door. You need the new tool to unlock it. Yeah, this is what I say at the very beginning of my newest devlog, right? I assume that you're more than infinitely familiar with this setup, because that's the most classical one of obtaining a new ability. You get into a situation where you cannot leave, and you need to figure out how to use a tool. Finally, if the player already knows how to play, they can simply go forward without even talking. I like how the architect doesn't actually tell Alice to hold LMB. Yeah, I wanted to have like a lore explanation of how AST1 is being used. Into the architect. I'm gonna try to make most of the dialogues optional like this one, so that if someone is playing for the second time or just isn't interested in the story, they can omit these dialogues entirely. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. This tutorial sequence goes on for 3 more levels, but I don't want to spoil too much of the game. Yeah, this still stands. I want most of the dialogues to be optional. Yo, I couldn't make it from the start. Hi. I like reading how it works in World. It's cool. Okay, this is the end. So thank you so much for watching and take care. Yeah, there's nothing more. So this has been which one? Which one? This one, teaching players. Okay, so we can watch the Darkwood video because I believe Tomatek wanted us to do so we can do it. The way this game portrays vision is fascinating. Also Darkwood, such a wonderful game. Can I just say? In Darkwood, we can see an entity only if it's contained within our field of view. Everything outside of it. There's really something, I'm gonna talk about that. There's really something about this concept. Like, I'd love to make a game like that, where you just, this concept of like having a shelter, and you know, there's some danger outside, but you need to leave this shelter to, you know, gather resources necessary to survive. This is such an interesting concept, right? And of course, like, there's much more going on in Darkwood, but this basic idea of like, here's home, here's safety, but you need to get out and you need to face the fear and get whatever it is that you need. More people should play Darkwood. Exactly. It's a little late here, so I might not stay for very long, but I would like to stay for as long as I can, because checking the old videos is super cool to me and I don't want to miss out. You can always go back to the VOD, by the way, because there's gonna be a VOD, so don't worry. But it's just a static background. Furthermore, this field of view is not just a triangle, it actually gets obscured by things like walls, trees, and so on. In a way, it resembles a spotlight shined from our character's eyes. But it's not an actual light, it does not illuminate anything, and if there's no other source of light, we... Also, by the way, somebody mentioned that this is the same... I need to check this, that this is the same effect as they use in... What's the name of the game? Why don't I remember it? Hold on. Among Us. Yes. And the question is... No, I can't check that, because the game was released before it became popular, right? But I'm pretty sure that like 2 weeks after me releasing this video, the game became extremely popular, Among Us. And I was like, man, this video could do so much better if only I use a different game. But all in all, I'm happy that I used Darkwood.
We still won't be able to see. So, since Unity 2019, we have this brand new 2D lighting, and I thought it would be fun to use it and recreate this Darkwood's vision mechanic. So I started by creating this simple testing room. Links to the art I used are in the description. After that, I put together a simple player controller just to be able to move and look around. Then it was time to create some lighting. I started by adding some shadow casters for these walls. Then I created a subtle global light together with a yellow point light inside the...
Among Us illuminates everything around you, not only the mouse direction. Yes, but the light is being occluded by obstacles, right? I've had ideas to use this light texture technique to show the other side of a 2D portal, like the portals in Mario. That's interesting. I wonder how it would look like. Oh, that's great. The problem with VODs is I probably won't check it out immediately when I can, and then I will procrastinate and end up not watching at all, so I better watch it all at once now. Understandable. I think the implementation in Darkwood is more prettier than in Among Us. Yeah, it's definitely much more stylistic. And also, I mean, not stylistic. What I mean is that it really matches, it enhances the atmosphere, is what I'm trying to say.
Room. We also need a separate set of lights to simulate.
On the other hand, if you used Among Us as an example, that would probably bring in the wrong crowd. I mean, yeah, there's something about this. Now that I'm thinking about it, Astortion 2 can be just like the second part of the Portal 2. Something like dark prequel for the Astortion. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's finish one game first. Did anyone ever tell you that you have an amazing voice? Your accent just mixes perfectly with your deep, calm, and soothing voice. I don't... No, stop it. I don't know. No, I mean, I would need to meet people for them to tell me that. You know what I'm saying? Among Us definitely has a lot of junk to its implementation. Also, thank you, by the way. I don't know about Among Us's implementation, unfortunately. Volumetric ray marching could be used to improve this effect. Gosh, don't even get me started. I'd love to implement like a 2D lighting using ray marching. This would be such a cool idea to do that. Too bad that the problem with Astortion is that because of the parallax, you don't really have any shadows, because you know, it doesn't make it. Shadows make sense if you look at something from the top, because then they can be casted onto something. They can be cast onto something. When it comes to like a side view, you know, there's a parallax layer behind moving, and there's just no way to place shadows. But I love to do that. This idea is so great. I was trying to remake Among Us lighting, gave up trying to search through the sprite lit shader, found your channel from Astortion, and then found this video. It's interesting. I like that idea of field of view in 2D games so much I actually tried to add it to a game, but I'm really bad at finishing games. Anyway, I love it. Might check out Darkwood too. Definitely. The voices is very true.
Like the character's vision.
Anyway,
something like this. Initially, my plan was as follows. First, we render the vision lights to a render texture. Then, while the actual scene is being rendered, we use data from this render texture to gray out regions of the world and clip out entities that are beyond our character's sight. Unfortunately, it is not that easy. Turns out that you can't just make a camera render only specific lights, and we need to do that to create our vision texture. So I had to come up with something else. I was playing around with...
This was also prior to my pixel renderer, and there's a lot of things that I do to kind of, you know, try to use Unity stuff to make it work. Because currently I wouldn't bother with like, oh, I need to have 2 cameras. I can have 1 camera, and just create a custom render pass, right? And do that over there. But back in the day, I was trying to achieve that, you know, with as little custom rendering code as possible.
Trying to find a different solution. When I noticed something interesting. In the 2D renderer settings, there is a parameter called render texture scale. But what's more interesting is that it's separate for each blend style. Therefore, somewhere under the hood, Unity needs to have a separate light textures for each blend style. If you find a way to... Celeste uses a small amount of shadows around the character. I love Celeste, yeah, Celeste does this. But I feel like... Yeah. I need to go back to this idea now that you mentioned this. I remember this vividly in Celeste. I really like how you are actively talking with chat. That's what makes people watch streams and have fun, usually, I believe. Happy to hear that. Access them will be home free. There's probably some people being like, no, I just wanted to watch your older videos. Why are you pausing them? We are currently looking at the source code of Sprite default shader, which is the basic shader provided by Unity to use with 2D lighting. Don't worry though, people who wrote this are as confused as we are. But this is so funny. It's like... It's not even something, it's not like cherry picking. It's so often you can just find these comments in Unity's source code. It's like people are like, is this the way? It's not the way. Or like, to do, fix this. I don't know. It's like, it reminds me this video about Valve developers with like the source engine, source code. Oh, exactly. Exactly. It reminds me of the dev comments in Valve code. I mean, if you wanted to just watch the older videos, they're also available on their own. Exactly, I know that. That's what's funny. Are as confused as we are. What interests us is this little fragment shader here. It calls this combined shape light shader function, which is declared in this file. And this is exactly where the magic happens. This function samples all 4 light textures and mixes them into a final color. Also, I'm pretty sure that currently there are 16 distinctive textures when it comes to the renderer in Unity. So quite a lot of things have changed. Yeah, but the amount of streams that feel flat because I don't really matter and the footage isn't interesting enough for me. So in many cases, I'd rather chat than watch only. That's cool. You're watching from my new Linux OS, lol. What distribution are you using? I'm actually currently thinking about installing Linux again, because I used to have 2 systems on my PC. But then my Linux crashed and the entire disk got corrupted. And I was like, okay, I'm not using it for a while. Just out of curiosity, is there any Discord server to hang out with this community? I can't seem to find any link. The current Discord is being, unfortunately, how to say that? Is behind a paywall, because you need to be a patron. You need to pay at least $1. I'm thinking about making it public, like I mentioned that, I believe, on this live stream, because with the release of Motion Canvas, we're gonna need to, have like a community for it. So might as well create a whole Discord server, because currently I'm just scared of making a Discord server. That I'm gonna get overwhelmed by the amount of people. And then, there's definitely the beautiful thing about a patron only server is that people want to be there. You know what I'm saying? It's not like people can join and just do whatever they want. There's this sense of responsibility, right? Because they are patrons. I don't know if I am explaining this correctly. Pop OS with KDE Plasma for the desktop environment. That's interesting. I'm gonna look that up later. Based on Ubuntu. I see. Linux is good if you want to learn. If you don't have time to learn how to use your PC from scratch, moving to Linux is not a good idea. I mean, I can see that. There's definitely a lot of things in Linux that are not particularly newcomers friendly, right? Hire a moderator for public Discord server. Yeah, it would have to be this way, right? I'd need to find somebody who knows this stuff.
And then it's whole this like, oh, all of a sudden I need to manage my community. What do you mean? No, but I'm as I said, I'm actively thinking about this. I'm just really slow when it comes to these things. It's fairly quiet in the server compared to public ones. Yeah, definitely, because there's only a few of us, right? I know that even patrons are okay. At least last time I asked, they were like, yeah, that's an interesting idea to open the server. Maybe you could have a different channel for the patrons. Yeah, it would end up this way, right? There would be channels for patrons exclusively, and for the rest of us. I think opening the server to the public would be cool, and having a fancy corner for patrons as well would be pretty cool. I see. Just make a special channels. Chat. How about let everyone join, but only patrons can chat? That's an interesting idea. NIXOS for the win. Setting up the entire system with a single configuration file. I'll also check this out. Doesn't that defeat the purpose of it being public if only patrons can chat though? My server has like 50 people and only 2 of them plus me are fairly active, lol. Which isn't a lot, but it's still weird. It's more than just me. Or rather unusual, not weird. Separated channels does not work as well in my opinion. General will always be the main one that the community uses. Yeah, but we could keep the current channels that are like, used for notifying about the changes in the development and so on. We could keep them patron only so that patrons would still have the exclusive access, right, to some information. Honestly, the from scratch thing with Linux isn't true. As long as you stay away from Gen 2 or a fresh Arch install, Arch or Arc, I never know, you're most likely going to be fine. I tinker about as much as with Windows. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not worried about that because I have quite a lot of experience with Linux. In my previous job, I used to work exclusively on Linux, so it's not that big of a deal. I manage my own community in my Discord server for my game project. I can help you out if you decide to make it public. Thanks. I'll keep this in mind. I am now streaming my reaction to you reacting to you on the Discord. I have my Discord closed, but I believe you. It's not just about user friendliness. In some cases, Linux UX is better than Windows. It's about how systems work under the hood and how you, as a Windows user, are used to think. That's the hard part in moving to Linux, trying to think outside of Windows and not trying to fix Linux problems using Windows approach. That's really it's more about people who are doing a lot of stuff with the system itself, right? I'm a patron because I like your content and want you to be able to keep making it, and I can afford to pay, not for the benefits. Honestly, kind of disappointed the benefits aren't available to more. There are probably a few people who are willing to help. I help moderate a few discords from friends. One more wouldn't hurt. Alright, I gotta go now. Bye bye. Bye bye. Have a nice day, evening, night. We'll see. Also, the problem with moderators is that, there's a certain level of trust, right? I can't just pick a random person and be like, here, manage the server. You're now the moderator. Yeah, but with the release of Motion Canvas coming really fast,
or approaching really fast. I'll have to think about this. To clarify, I'm saying bye to Panda, not to chat. Okay, enough with the Discord. All I had to do was clone this whole shader and modify it a little bit. I also made some adjustments in our scene. I changed the name of the third blend style to Vision and assigned it to appropriate lights. I also applied the newly created shader to all sprites in my scene. In this shader, I excluded our third blend style from the final result, so that our vision lights don't illuminate anything. I'm also calculating a darkened, grayed out version of the current color, and then I interpolate between it and the original color based on the value of the third light texture. As for the entities, I created another shader for them. This time it simply changes the alpha value based on the data from our third light texture. And that's pretty much it. This is how it looks like during the day. Excuse me, had to take a short break. You could make a form to be a mod. Yeah, like that's definitely something that I do. Either amongst the patrons or maybe like a public thing. I'm kind of mad at myself, right? Because I could have made the server long ago, right? Before I had so many subscribers. And I feel like that would be, because that would be much more organic way of growing the server. Now, you know, I'm afraid that I'm gonna make it public and all of a sudden thousands of people are gonna join or something like this. Can you talk about some shaders you made? Which one? I don't think I made that many of them, to be honest. These shaders are not mine, right? These are the Unity ones. I just modified them. Here's the night. And we can still play around with all the features that 2D lights have to offer. We just have one blend style less. Of course, this is an extremely simplistic recreation. It's not meant to compete with astonishing visuals of Darkwood. It was just a fun little project. As a side note, Darkwood was also created in Unity, although the development started years ago when features like 2D lights weren't even thought of, which of course makes the work put into the game even more impressive. Like one in the video for lights. Which one? You need to be more specific, because I have huge trouble connecting dots and keeping context in my head. What part of game development do you enjoy the least? Oh my god. I don't know. It's a difficult choice. You know, I hate everything equally. No, I don't. It's difficult to tell. Never mind my question. It's a better one, but I don't have the answer for that one. Anyway, thank you for listening to my TED Talk. See you in the next video and take care. Maybe it's something that I haven't done yet, right? Because I haven't done any sound design and, like, you know, setting up sounds and whatever. Maybe I'm gonna hate that. Maybe that's gonna be my least favorite part. Or maybe writing the dialogue, right? Writing the dialogue, I have huge issue with writing anything because I'm a natural overthinker and I can just like spend, you know, an hour looking at one paragraph, trying to change it to make it sound better. And it's like, it's no joke. It takes me like 6 to 10 hours to write one script for one of my videos, and my videos are like 5 minutes. just because of how much I overthink all of that. So definitely, yeah, writing would be my least favorite part of game development. if you can consider this a part of game development. Least favorite part is easily everything UI related. I can see that, yeah. I wonder, because I want to switch to UI Toolkit with the new UI. I wonder if it's gonna be better, because technically it's based on web technologies, right? So I should feel like home, but we'll see. I really enjoyed it when I created Typewriter, because I also used UI Toolkit. Because I agree that the typical game engine thing where you drag the boxes and you mark the anchors, I don't like that way, or this way of creating a UI. And it seems like every engine uses this approach, right? Unreal has something extremely similar, and Godot as well. Unfortunately, writing is one of the most important. Exactly. That's why I overthink it so much. I've been meaning to learn UI Toolkit. Yeah, and now it's production ready technically, so we can use it in games. Anyway, we have now seen the Darkwood video. I don't think we're gonna watch any of these because there's nothing particularly interesting. Changing the game animation industry as we know it. This is a very important piece of artificial history. This is the first video that got recommended by the algorithm. When I released it, I had like 80 subscribers, 100, something like that. And after it, I had 3,000, I believe. So that was a huge. It was such a weird thing to happen, right? Because I've been uploading these videos for half a year, I think. And then all of a sudden YouTube was like, hey, this random video, I'm just gonna recommend it to everybody. I don't know if it's because of the title. A lot of people got really mad at me for this title. I'm like, guys, how can you read this title and be like, yeah, the guy is serious? I don't understand this. I love this video, dude. Found you with that one. So it takes at least half a year. It's always like this. It's always like nothing, and then it randomly just happens. It breaks the tradition of videos with pixel art in the title popping off. Yeah, it does. But also, if you go to the channel and sort by the most popular videos, you can see that, yeah, pixel art, but not here. Schrödinger levels kinda is doing numbers. I'm really happy because I love this video. I had the idea for this video ever since this one, and I'm so happy that it turned out, this well, and a lot of people liked it, and I love how it looks like. It's a very solid video. Hello, hi. What are your favorite devlogs? Yours have literally the highest quality, so it's very high tier. Like by other people, the devlogs that I like to watch, there's definitely BW Dev. Is it BW or BM? I never remember. This wonderful person is making the lumberjack kinda thing. Devdag, I also really like watching his stuff. Randy doesn't upload anymore, right? It's a funny Australian guy. Love the guy. I think he has a second channel, and I believe he's gonna start uploading videos again. I don't remember because I haven't seen any any informational video just yet. So yeah, these are like the kinds of people I watch. Obviously, like Sebastian, right? But I don't think Sebastian makes. I wouldn't call them devlogs, right? They're more of exploratory videos. It's funny because YouTube has this like analytics thing where it shows me what videos my viewers watch, and it's usually the same videos that I watch. I don't know if YouTube does this like on purpose or if it's just a thing, but
it's funny to see like, oh, I've seen this video some time ago, and YouTube is saying that my viewers also watched this video. So that's cool. Randy is missing in my heart, exactly. He was making a 3D engine to get inverse kinematic working in 2D. Randy is doing Twitch. Is he? Oh, that's interesting. Because last time I checked, I remember that he was not doing live streams anymore because he said that it was counterproductive, which I can imagine is the case, right? I honestly applaud to anybody who's capable of creating anything on a live stream. It's just like the mindset that you have during a live stream is totally different. I couldn't focus, for instance. I love Sebastian Lee. Laws, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Videos. You two are my favorite channels to watch. Thank you. Putting me up next to Sebastian is a huge compliment. Why is your logo a compass? Have you noticed something, by the way? First of all, it's an interesting question. Have you noticed that we have a different logo now? Phase 3, new logo. You probably can't even tell the difference. But there's no reason for that. I just like it. There's no special meaning behind the compass. Thin. Oh, hold on a second. I'm gonna open this in a new tab. Thin matrix. And it rings a bell, but I don't think I've seen any of their videos. But I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check it out. I'm just gonna save this so that I don't forget. A single line is gone. Exactly, it is. It's funny because this is how it's meant to look like. This was the initial design. I don't know why. What happened with this line? Why it's here, but it shouldn't be, and it's not gonna be. Also, this is the first video with an intro like that, with my compass just appearing on the screen. I put a lot of work into it. It's in general, this video was a really high production value video. It is a compass. I knew it. Yes, of course. Buddy. It is. Well, it's funny. It's the compass. You know, it's the I'm drawing circles compass, right? It's not the I show north kind of compass. Welcome to another devlog for Astortion. Last week, which was a month ago, I told you that we are gonna start designing the game world. Apparently, that was a lie, because as I started sketching the first drafts, I realized that I totally forgot to create the most important puzzle element, the jump pad. So I did that instead. This is how it looks like. If I step on it, it's gonna eat me somewhere. The same goes for other objects. The trajectory always stays the same. No matter from which side you enter the jump pad or with what velocity, you're always gonna land in the same place. And the whole thing can be, of course, disabled. But there's one problem. What if I wanna go to the other side of the jump pad without being launched? In 3D games, I could just go around, but there's no around in 2D. I also can't jump over it because I actually don't know if I've ever explicitly stated that, but there's no jumping in Astortion. Do a very, very, very important statement to make. It's so many people are like, no, why? And let's watch. We could come up with some profound explanation as to why that is. Like, you know, it's a conscious decision to force the player to think outside of the box. But the truth is, I simply ran out of controls. Like, a lot of people are really confused by this picture right here.
The interact is the most confusing thing, I think. This is not the case. Don't worry about that. E is the only key that's being used for interaction. It used to be a thing where I wanted to make this weird dialogue system where you would be presented with options, and pressing Q would choose one option, pressing E would choose another, R would be the third one, T would be the last, right? Stupid idea. I was young and stupid back then. Now I'm only stupid, but it's no longer the case. The sword gravity is still the same. So many people out there being like, why is shift crouching? Oh my god, why isn't it control? I don't know. It's because one of the very first games that I ever played was Minecraft, and shift will always be crouching in my heart. But the layout's gonna be remappable, so don't worry about that. You'll be able to change it. Why do we assume humans can jump more than their entire height? I remember the video explaining this part. Yeah, I had an entire video talking about why is there no jumping. After 5 seconds of thinking, I came to the only logical decision that anybody will make in this kind of situation. $1 a month is not that much, so I just made my first Patreon subscription. Well, welcome. Thank you for that. Tomorrow I will probably play with Motion Canvas a bit. Oh, but that's a problem, because Motion Canvas currently is only available to the compute tier. I'm really sorry for that. Did you create a prototype for the game before, or are you jumping into the dark with the gameplay? I'm jumping into the dark with the gameplay. I'm a maniac that swaps the mouse buttons in Minecraft. I don't like that. I could go through my life without this information. If it's only for dialogues, I don't think it's stupid. Yeah, but there's no choice anymore, so that's not really necessary anymore. Anyway, what you don't see here is obviously the mouse, which you need to use with your other hand. You need to press and sometimes hold the left mouse button. So I feel like this was the main source of confusion, because a lot of people were like, there's so many keys, like you can use something else, right? For jumping. And they were like, hey, you can just use control or something like that, or use F, or use space for jumping, and then distort gravity would be G. I'm like, yeah, but the ergonomics of that would be bad, right? Because you cannot press G while going to the right, right? If you're pressing D, there's no way you're gonna press G. Minecraft is a building game. Main mouse should be built. Oh my god. I don't like this entire situation here. I don't like the energy we created today in the studio, guys. Left click is the primary mouse button. I built more than an attack in Minecraft. But can't you make distort gravity the mouse button? I could. That's something that people were talking about, like make the right mouse button distort gravity and the left mouse button target stuff. That would be an option. If I had to add jumping, this is probably how I would do that. But still, like, I don't like the jumping, right? I made an entire video about that. You can go watch it if you've never seen that. Hold on, I'm gonna show you. Is debating jumping for 2 minutes straight. Entire video just dedicated to jumping. Gotta go, bye. Thanks for sharing your live stream. No worries. Goodbye. Swapped mouse button supremacy. I don't like how apparently it's like a thing that people do. Like a common thing. Renaming my shortcut to craft mine now. Well, I think it's not something you need to argue that you can't jump. You can just say it's part of your vision. or anything. Lol. Yeah, that's the problem, right? Is that if you give people too much information, they're gonna try to argue about that, and then that's a beautiful thing of like remaining vague. It's just that people who quote unquote know better can discuss this with you. Yeah, but currently this was just me saying like, yeah, whatever, I have a reason. The reason is I don't have buttons. The real reason is that I just didn't know how to do that initially, where to place it, and then it grew on me, and now I like the fact that there is no jumping, and it's like part of the game. Exactly, it's part of the game now. Make an achievement when you press space without anything targeted that says you can't jump. Stanley Parable style. I second the achievement idea. Yeah, because definitely people are gonna do that, especially since in the introduction you don't really have AST1, so definitely somebody's gonna try to jump in the game. I'm off. Thanks for the responses. We'll catch up the VOD. Thanks for being here. Are there plans for achievements? Well, definitely, but I'm not at this point yet. I haven't even tried using the Steam API or anything like that. But yeah, like definitely, I want to have some achievements. But I don't like the idea of having these achievements that you're gonna get them no matter what. You know what I'm saying? There's like any action that you need to take to complete the game results in an achievement, and it's like So I'd like to have like a fewer achievements with that are being difficult to find, if that makes sense. If I were to add jumping, there would literally be too many buttons to comprehend. And also the spacebar is already taken. Anyway, the jump pad. I thought about making it wait for a few milliseconds before launching stuff. This way the player would have enough time to go to the other side if they wanted to, but this would make stuff like this impossible. And that's a no-no. So another idea was to use the lock ability. It even kinda makes sense. When we crouch, the part where he kills you. Was the part where he kills you, was the achievement that you got after escaping and just waiting there? Was that a thing? Because I don't remember. We're talking about Portal 2, right? The section where there's like the part where he kills you is the title of the entire section, right? Obviously. But I'm assuming that you're talking about the achievement. Yeah, it was part of the joke. Yeah, okay. You press D, you get an achievement, exactly. Hey, I'm fresh off a plane and got to work on some schoolwork, but I just wanted to say that your devlog videos are really fun and interesting to watch. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to hear that. After another hard 5 seconds of thinking, I came to the second only logical decision that anybody will make in this kind of situation. Update my Patreon subscription. So I just did it. I will definitely play with Motion Canvas tomorrow. Okay, don't forget to send me, you need to send me a message on Patreon, right? With your GitHub username so that I can add you to the organization. It was when Whiffley trapped you and GLaDOS on the platform with a ton of spikes. Yeah, but the achievement, to get the achievement, I'm wondering what you have to do to get the achievement. Because I remember that you could like go back and jump into the pit yourself. And I don't remember if that was what triggered the achievement. The first superpowered anchor would be the part where he kills you, like, moment. Yeah, kinda. Play Portal 2 if you don't get it, great game. Who are you talking to? Who, excuse me, who in the chat have not played Portal 2? What kind of statement is this? You just get the achievement. Oh, okay. I thought that you need to do something. To Oren. Oh, okay. Oren, why don't you know what we're talking about? Oh, hi. Hello.
Hi, bro. I get it. Okay. I was thinking about playing Portal 2 on stream.
The lock ability is activated
recently.
crouching.
I was like, that would be a cool game to play. Because, you know, I couldn't play like a new game because I want to experience it, right? Alone. But Portal 2 is a game that I completed so many times that, you know, might as well stream it. And I feel like I need to replay it because it's been a while. It's been a long time, if you know what I'm saying, since I last played it. Portal speedrun stream. Easy. What about Portal Reloaded? Oh yeah. I haven't played it yet. Guys, no, Oren, don't get angry. Actually, I've played Portal 2 and Portal 2 co-op multiple times, but I actually never played the original until like 3 months ago. I also first played the second, the sequel, and then completed the first one. Portal Reloaded is awesome. I've heard a lot of good stuff about that. It's definitely on my playlist to play list. Still haven't played Portal 1.
Okay. So it's only logical that
I don't know how to react to that. Celeste is my favorite game though. It's really speedrunnable. Yeah, it has all the it ticks all the boxes, right, for a great speedrun game. Portal is a what? 50-year-old game? I'd assume people who are younger than the game probably haven't played it. Oh, has it been 15 years? No, it's been... I mean, the first Portal. Yeah, okay. It could be 15 years. I'd watch a Portal Reloaded stream. Okay, I'm noting that.
Jump pad wouldn't affect us as well. The thing is, the player up until now used to not be able to walk while crouching. So I had to fix this. And it may seem like a little feature that shouldn't take too long to implement, but I actually had to rewrite my entire animation component for that. If you remember,
2007, just looked it up, it had been 15 years. Dear Lord. How the time flies. I mean, I'm not pretending that I remember, like, I was like, what, 9 years old in 2007? Coming up on its 15th anniversary. I was 5 when it released. I wonder, what's the actual date?
Just ago, I was having some problems with the animator
of Portal. I'm gonna check this out. Portal. Can I just see that on Steam? October 10. That's like oddly not far away from right now, right? Age reveal.
Controller.
You can go on my Twitter and you're gonna...
But most importantly, I had to deal
with a very serious problem concerning Unity's animator component, which is that, as far as I know, you cannot synchronize transitions with the frame rate of your animation. And the way I fixed these problems is questionable, to say the least. It was the kind of thing that you write at 2 AM, half asleep but too excited to go to bed, and then the next day as you look at it, you begin to question your existence in general. So I knew that I'd need to rewrite this thing in the future. And guess what? The future is now. The previous design was terrible. I basically moved the logic that decides which animation should be played into a custom component. I want to try game dev. I just haven't started and I keep telling myself I'll do it eventually. It's getting annoying. Your devlogs are really impressive to my fledgling game dev brain. That's a word. That's quite a word.
I'm happy to hear that. And you should start, doing game dev if you feel like it, or at least give it a try. And I was using the animator's play method to manually play animations. The problem with this approach was that everything was hard-coded, and adding a new animation required me to change a lot of stuff. Usually, this decision-making logic would be contained within the animator controller, but the animator has two main issues that prevent me from doing that. First, there is the previously mentioned frame rate synchronization. Take a look at this timeline. Currently, the walk animation is being played. Suddenly, the player starts running. Look at this production value, by the way. You know how much time I spent in After Effects making this? I remember this vividly. What if we kissed on the orange box? No. I remember vividly editing this part because I was watching Unis Anis was a channel, and there was a live stream where they were about to delete the whole channel, and I was watching this live stream when editing this video. It's such a vivid memory in my head. Exactly this part with this triangle moving across. Oh my god. This would be so much easier with motion canvas, by the way. Don't want to brag or anything. I'm actually using a Reanimator for a game jam I'm working on right now, and it's awesome. What are you doing here if you're working on a game jam? Isn't it like limited time? But also it's amazing to hear that. Be sure to add me on Twitter or something once the game is finished. Brag all you wish. Metroidvania month? We get a month. Oh, that's an interesting time span. Okay, so that's, and the animator cool. Immediately switches to a different animation clip. Now, depending on when this happens, the duration of a frame during which the transition occurs will vary. In this example, each frame takes 100 milliseconds, but the transition frame lasted for only 20, causing the character to stutter. Ideally, whenever a transition occurs, the animator should wait for the current frame to finish and then switch to a different animation. Technically, this can be achieved by using multiple transitions, one for every frame, each with an appropriate exit time. But we're talking about 8 to 24. Yeah, this is like a major problem, a major cause of pain when it comes to my experience with Animator. And a lot of people were like, when I introduced Reanimator, were like, isn't this just blend trees? And it kinda is conceptually, but the blend trees suffer from the same exact problem, right? Which is the fact that if my crouching animation has 10 frames and my walking animation has 6, it won't be able to do this sort of transition. What's your work ethic like when you work on Astortion? Do you just down a monster in the morning and just grind it out all day? So my work ethic is that currently, this current month, I'm dedicating the entirety of it towards motion canvas. I'm doing nothing else, just motion canvas. So I'm taking a break from Astortion development. But usually I try to go 6 hours at least a day on game development, and then the rest of the day 4 to 6 hours on Patreon stuff and motion canvas and video editing, video script writing, stuff like that. But I really need to start measuring it, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like there's a lot of time that I may be wasting, and I'm not realizing it because I'm not measuring it properly. So that's definitely, I'm still working this stuff out, right? It's also surprising how much having a job, 9 to 5 kind of job, how much it regulates your schedule, right? Because the moment I stopped working, my whole mental clock just went crazy. I would be up until 6 a.m. And then I would sleep until 2 p.m. or something like that. But I managed to get back to a normal cycle. So gotta go. Goodbye. Have a great day, night, evening. Forgot monster was a drink when I when I read that and was interpreting that very differently. There are times when I might want a transition to be immediate. I could probably force Reanimator to do this by setting its reevaluation code cooldown to 0 when I want the transition to activate. There's a method on Reanimator called force update that's gonna do exactly that. If you want the transition occurred and you want it to occur immediately, you call force update and you get this. There's a method you can call, exactly. How do you continue to focus on the project after breaking a big goal? I'm stuck on a project after a big breakthrough and just can't get myself to continue. Man, I don't know. It's questions about like motivation and that sort of things are always difficult because I don't know. I just feel like doing it, you know? I haven't lost motivation yet, so it's difficult to answer this. Maybe one day I'm gonna, you know, be hit by sudden demotivation and I'm not gonna feel like working on the game, but it hasn't happened yet. Force re-render, yeah. Additional transitions. It was either force re-render or force update. I don't. Per state. I don't remember. Setting this up would be a nightmare. The second problem is the lack of nested state machines. I love this section so much. Imagine that you have a character whose animations can be divided into 2 groups. One for being on the ground and one for... Holy see, you're still alive. I didn't expect you to still be online. Love your work. Looking forward to see what happens. Yeah, we've been live for like 3.5 hours. But there are people watching, so I may as well continue. What works for you might not even work for the person who asked either. So questions about motivation are even going to be hard to answer with experience. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm already on Patreon, but would love to pre-order Astortion. Do you know if that will be available? Ooh, well, I haven't thought about this yet. It's definitely not possible right now. We'll see, right? It's probably... The money is not a problem right now, so I don't know if I'm gonna need to make any sort of pre-ordering campaign. Being in the air. And you have a single property that decides which of the groups should be active. In this case, you need to add a transition from every single state in a group to the other group, which is extremely tedious. It would be great if you could have 2 nested state machines and define transitions only between them. And I know that this is so funny because I just said that there are no nested state machines in Unity, right? And they could be really useful in this situation. And I vividly remember somebody left a comment because I got a notification about that. Somebody left a comment with like, well, actually, there are nested state machines in Unity. And if you watch the video, right, there are substate machines in Unity. The thing is, they don't work this way. I literally the next second I'm like, yeah, I know that there are substate machines, but that's not what I'm talking about. And I got the notification with this comment, and the moment I pressed it, the comment got deleted. So I'm assuming that whoever wrote that just like continued watching and was like, oh crap, they actually talked about that. So that's funny. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to Animator. This is something that I really miss from Unreal Engine, being able to just have 2 state machines running at the same time independently and then blend the result together. Even if I were to use them here, I'd still need to define an additional transition for every state within the substate machine to its root. Conceptually, these substate machines are more like a visual group than a standalone state machine. These 2 problems raise a serious question.
do I even need to use the animator controller? The answer is no. I ditched the entire thing and wrote my own animator. Instead of using a state machine, I'm using a simple tree-like graph. Each node is represented by a scriptable object. This way I don't need to edit the code whenever I change something. Also, this was a really clear boundary, right? When I just went down the rabbit hole, because ever since this video, if you think about this, where is it? Here. It's like, you know, video about piecing the world back together, custom system for passages, custom system for save system, right? My architecture, custom system for pooling, custom renderer, simulation for, like, I just started doing my own stuff after this video, because before that I was like, oh, maybe I want to like somehow force Unity to work with me. And here I just embrace that, being like, whatever, I'm gonna do my own stuff for better or for worse. Just upgraded my Patreon subscription to the compute tier. Feels great to support a game dev I look up to. Thank you so much. You didn't need to, but I really appreciate that. I have kids, so sometimes life gets in the way and I can't be on live for live content, but I really wish you the best of luck and I love your content. Thanks for all you do. Thank you so much. And it's totally understandable. Real life, definitely more important than my live streams. Don't worry about that. Everything is custom. Yeah. Anyway, in this system, keyframes can define custom sprites for when the character is facing left, and they can influence how the graph is resolved using this mappings property. For example, here, notice how when I stop moving with my left foot facing forward, the graph will resolve to an adequate crouching animation. Same for the right leg. I really like the crouching mechanic. I'm gonna go back to this, but will we have a phase 2 watch party in a future stream? I was thinking about this. I'm thinking maybe if I magically cross the 100,000 subscribers milestone, we could make like a proper celebratory live stream, and maybe then we could watch, you know, the other phase. But the other phase, like, I'm really happy with it, right? There's nothing, like, I'm actually, you know, looking back at this, for instance, this is my favorite video I ever made. Nothing topped it. Obviously, it's not, you know, when it comes to the views, it's not that popular, but it doesn't matter. Like, what I'm trying to say is that after this video got extremely popular, I was like, maybe it's actually worth putting a lot of effort into these videos, because people may sometimes enjoy them, right? And this is where I really started thinking about what I want to do, and I like these videos, right? There's nothing wrong with them. These, the first phase was like, oh my god, what am I doing? I hate every single one of them. Maybe not the Darkwood Vision effect, but yeah, they could be so much better. And there's a lot of things that I want to revisit in the future. Definitely we're gonna revisit the parallax landscapes with the, how is it called, fog shader, because that's an amazing topic for a video. But yeah, I just wanted to like see how I used to make videos almost a year ago at this point. We all have to start out as noobs before we can be pros. There's something about it. I remember this was the reason why I used to make one video a week, because I remember watching some YouTuber being like, you need to make 1,000 bad videos first. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make 1,000 bad videos first. I'm still making them. Yeah, anyway, don't wanna how do you say that? Don't wanna stop the party or anything like that. But it's actually almost 2 a.m. on my side,
And we've seen all of the videos that I wanted to watch today. So we can slowly shut down the stream, if you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you have any questions. I don't know if there's anything to ask, to be honest. Yeah, I don't see anything new popping up. Or maybe my chat is frozen. Nevertheless, it was an honor to have you here today. Thanks for your time, effort. It was a really nicely spent time. Oh no, you're a Stardew Valley character. If you're not in bed by 2 a.m., you'll be charged. Time for bed, yeah. Thank you for keeping me awake for a bit longer. No worries. I got you, bro. Your videos are great, and this was a fun hangout stream. Thanks so much. So yeah, like, goodbye to anybody, to everybody actually. So the stream is ending, and thank you again for being here. I never know how to finish them. Okay, let's just finish them. So bye bye everybody. Have a great day, evening, night. We'll see you. We'll see each other. Okay, bye bye.